A very good morning, everybody. Nice to have you company wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia or indeed the world. Yes, the operative word there is morning. Far too early for my liking, but we're trying to get back on track on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club before, of course, launching into Week 8 competition. Receive everything live, exclusive and free from 7:40 Eastern Daylight Time. We're doing so by taking you back to last Monday night and our coverage of the Waste Option Super Formula Light and GT3 doubleheader. It's a European doubleheader. It's the 7th round of the season. It's the first one of March for these guys. It was, of course, a 30-minute race at the Algarve for Super Formula Light, followed by sprint racing from the Nürburgring for GT3. The reason we weren't able to bring it to you, technical issues at Adam Lavis's end, and I've never heard him so frustrated in the 6 years I've been working with him, ladies and gentlemen. But he's here, I'm here, we're ready to rock and roll. And thanks to Adam as well, because he was able to work around me having to be out of here by 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time to go and fulfill school pickup obligations whilst I'm crashing at Mum and Dad's house en route back from the nation's capital to Queensland. I'll be back in Queensland before we broadcast on Wednesday night. This is Super Formula Light. This is, of course, the pivotal 7th round of the series. Drop rounds coming to the equation at the end of this one, ladies and gentlemen. And immediately off the top, if I am sounding a little bit dusty, it's not because of alcohol intake over the course of the weekend, although there was a bit of that. It's because I was commentating the aforementioned ACT titles for karting New South Wales, and what a weekend it was there at Circuit Mark Webber. You wouldn't fair dinkum believe it. I had the unfortunate duty of informing everybody of what happened in the lead up to lights out at the Australian Formula One Grand Prix. You can imagine their disappointment. Local server time 9:37. Winds are northerly at the moment, 20 degrees the ambient, 20 on track, overcast conditions and dry at this point. It's afternoon for our mates in New Zealand. It's very early morning over breakfast in WA. Adam Lavis, good morning to you. Here we go again, mate. Good to see a couple of prominent names popping back up onto the grid in Super Formula Light, and we'll have a look at that in just a moment. But obviously, tech issues sorted, and we're ready for a Monday doubleheader.
Yeah, it's good to see SDK's decided to actually work today, so makes things a bit easier that we can actually see things and push buttons. So, so we should be able to get through this tonight, and hopefully tonight is the same, and have a double header for the day, and plenty of racing for everyone to consume over the course of the day.
As if we haven't had enough racing, of course, over the course of the last 4 days to sink our teeth into. Here comes a little bit of overtime, ladies and gentlemen, and as Adam said, we're back here tonight, so it's a split double header. We've done this before on Fridays. We're looking forward to doing it here on a Monday this time round. That's the equation. That's the state of play at the moment in Super Formula Light. Dan Yeaman on top of the points table at the moment, and he sits there with a 45-point advantage over Marcus Watson. And I'm just having a look through this grid here. Not sure we're seeing Watto in the house. So it's advantage Dan Yeaman at the moment. Marcus Watson, Ryan Jones back on the grid after being tied up with other obligations a couple of weeks ago. 285, 276 for Jonesy, 253 for Sam Chapman and Scott Hasler on 222 points. And, of course, Jonesy very lucky, of course, that he missed out on some of the racing on Thursday night. Or Wednesday night just gone last week, and Thursday night as well, caught up with work at the Australian Grand Prix. Thankfully, that's all to one side, and he can get back in the cockpit tonight. The grid looks like this as we go advance forward to 2:30 in the afternoon. 9 km/h winds in a, what have we got there? West to northwesterly direction, 21 degrees the ambient, 29 on track and partly cloudy. So the track temp has warmed up significantly. March 1, 2026. Harrison Lillis, Mark Heppel, front row. Sam Chapman, Dan Yeaman, second row. Tyson Broad, Scott Hasler, third row. Last gasp effort from Chapman to displace Yeaman there, and Heppel did the same thing. 3/10 covers the top 4. Tyson Broad and Scott Hasler from row 3, 5 and 6 respectively positions. Chris Henn and Ryan Jones from 4. Brendan Grosh and Luke Brooker from 5. Just the 21 on the grid tonight. Pistol Pete Matson, the name you can't see on screen there in 21st. Adam Funslow, Eduardo Zamora from row 6. Brett Bradbury, John Baldwin from 7. Brad Hudson, Hilton Booth from 8. JD Dent, Kevin Wakefield, and then Luca Troyan and Joe Baldwin make up this field. Hey, Trucker taking advantage of the fact that last Monday was a public holiday on the West Coast. And so it's nice to see him actually get out there and turn competitive laps in anger. And more to the point, more to the point, it is a public holiday in some parts of the country today. The ACT, Victoria, South Australia and Tasmania, I do believe I'm right in saying. So, hopefully all of you people are enjoying your long weekend and doing so with us here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. It is one of my pet peeves, I must say, Adam Lavis. I don't understand why we have to have holidays out of sync, why we can't have them all in unison, especially when it's something like Labor Day or King's birthday, for instance. But anyway, let's get on with some racing. It's Monday Night Motorsport on a Monday for a change, ladies and gentlemen. Lights out, away we go. Willis and magnificent start up on the outside. Heppel under pressure from Yeaman. Gaiman diving down to the inside. Through turn one we go. Heppel and Chapman wide. Broad and Hasler get through. Oh, trouble. Trouble, Mark Heppel. Mark Heppel parked middle of the road. Dropping well down the order. Drops down to 11. Got corrected. Pushed back in the right direction. Have a look at the nice yellow cars out there at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. Very good stuff. Leader is Lillis, second is Yeaman, third is Broad. Here comes Chris Hen under pressure from Sam Chapman. Ryan Jones has already got past him. Jonesy up 3 spots on the opening lap. Nicely done. So I hope you'll enjoy lunch with us today and dinner with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The entree will be Super Formula Light, back to sprint racing for them tonight. The main course will be GT3, the last of the 60-minute races for their campaign. In the meantime, we've got all sorts of chopping and changing on this leaderboard. Eduardo Zamora, JD Dent, Brett Bradbury, all in trouble. Mark Heppel dropped down 15 spots on the opening lap. Pete Madsen still sits last. Chris Hen up in position number 7 at the moment, unmoved. There are just 2 drivers in this field unmoved at this point. One is Harrison Lillis, the other is Chris Hen. Everybody else has a plus or a minus next to their name. Lap 1 done. Across the line we go. Have a look at those times next time through, get an idea of where we're going lap-wise. Will this be a fuel-safe race? Will there be a splash and dash? We'll wait and see. Joe Baldwin, a blinder of a start, up 6 spots already to 14. Got by Hilton Booth. Next target, Kevin Wakefield. Chapman under pressure from Hen. They're trying to go with Joan. Roche in behind. Brooker and Funslow. In 10th spot. Funslow, of course, as you know, Adam, you've been out there. And when you haven't been out there, you've been broadcasting the races. He's racked up quite a few race wins now. I think it's 3 in the Legend cars. So he's enjoying his run in the entree slot at the moment.
Yeah, the ILAC guys have come in with a couple of series and they're having a pretty good showing. They've got some pace behind them, so they're always up there in that top 5 area battling around. So it's good to see them having a good crack.
Eduardo Zamora is parked up. He's out of the race. JD Dent and Mark Heppel still sitting on their pit box, and out goes Pete Madsen back out on the racetrack. Wakefield has been displaced. Lost out to Booth, Troyan and Baldwin. Drops down to 16th. That's Tyson Broad under pressure from Ryan Jones. Jonesy's up 4 spots already. Have a look at him go. Any idea of why we without the championship contender Marcus Watson? I know last week he had a 1-race ban. That's week 6. As far as I was aware, that had come and gone. Maybe some disdain for the Portimão circuit. That'll help. Copy that. That'll explain a lot. Tyson Broad under pressure here. Down the inside goes Jonesy, up 5 spots. A very good morning to you, Joe Baldwin. And I mean, very good morning, considering that even though you've probably been up for 7 hours already, it is only 9 a.m. on the West Coast. Jonesy down the inside, down the outside goes Broad. Hasler in there as well. Jones is wide. That's going to make him vulnerable to Hasler. Broad goes through. 4 minutes gone. 1:35 around about that benchmark time at the moment. So, oh geez, you got to take. It's always a hard one, 95 seconds, because you're talking about 2 laps in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So So then you've got to add that to time by 6. So that's, 19 laps, 19 minutes and 12 laps. So probably on track for 18 laps in this one tonight. Maybe 19 if we can squeeze one in at the very end, but that will obviously be determined by pit stops. You will probably find. Probably looking good for 19. Well, 12 in 19, so that's 9.5. Here goes Ryan Jones down the inside for another 6, and that'll get us to 28.40. Yeah, no, 19. Right, let's settle on 19. Ryan Jones, 4th place at the moment. Math's not my strong point, ladies and gentlemen. Don't hold it against me. Scott Hasler there in 3rd place. Dan Yeaman, Harrison Lillis, the race leader. Lillis has taken off 1.6. And it's interesting, isn't it, Adam? We spoke to Yeaman after round 6. And we said, because at that point in time, Mark Hilly was here running reinforcement for him. And he didn't actually need to that night. It was very cheeky, actually, what they did. Because Hilly went out and won by the length of a postcode, or led by the length of a postcode right up until the last lap, and then did a Rubens Barrichello and let his teammate through to take the win. Now we know that Watson had a one-race ban. Watson's now not renewed membership, so he's not here until he does such. So as a result of that, it's really Yeaman's to lose at this particular point. He doesn't need to call for the reinforcements, but it's good they've got a plan in place. Hello, Jordan Malcolm. I do. I 9 times out of 10, but I don't like to be smug or cocky about it. It's interesting though that they've still got their plan to get that reinforcement, backup support there for Yeaman. Even though Orbit Drop Bears Tyson Broad has dropped down the order to 17th, he's gone in on lap 3, so he's pitted really early. We missed that as we start lap 5. It's interesting for mine that even though Yeaman 135.204 for Harrison Lillis, by the way, doesn't need the reinforcement now that we know the situation with Marcus Watson, the Orbit Drop Bear boys are sticking with their plan. They're not changing it. Harrison Lillis is back on the grid. Tyson Broad's back on the grid. We're not going to turn those guys away. It's great to see them out there.
Indeed, yeah. It's always good to get some more wheels on track. So bigger fields usually, not to a certain point, obviously. Like you don't. Once we get above 40 or 50, it starts getting a bit crowded. But that 20 to 40 range is usually the sweet spot for the races and get some good action happening.
Oh, Pete Matson from there's a word I haven't had to say on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club for a while. From good old Gander. Of course, back when Pete was in his real estate phase of his working life, he had 2 separate associations up there. Was it Ray White and LJ Hooker, I think? And they were both club sponsors through Pete's association at one point. Haven't had to use the word Gaindar on the broadcast for a long, long while. Good on you, mate. Good morning to you. Hope you're going all right up there. And I say good morning to you specifically because you're stuck 112 years behind the rest of the Eastern Seaboard where it's just gone 12 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. There's your first reference for the day for your bingo card, ladies and gentlemen. We've got 2 opportunities to fill them up today. Ryan Jones down the inside, restoring order on Scott Hasler. They've gapped, they haven't yet quite gapped Chapman. They're trying to shake off Grosh and Hen. But Jones needed that, got by his teammate, ran it wide earlier, lost 2 spots, and now, back into 3rd spot. The damage has been done though. They've lost 5 seconds to Yeaman, who's still 2.7 behind Lillis. Lillis, the fastest lap of the race now in the 34s. 1 minute 34.984. The mayor is in the house indeed. Great to have so many of you tuning in. And on Pete for the moment, and Joe as well. Unfortunately, Trucker, we've just spoken about your comment there, and you're on the tow rope. So we'll find out what happened there a little bit later on. I was just about to say, there he is, but then unfortunately the off-track alert was lit up next to your name, mate, right on time, right on cue. Pete Madsen, however, up 4 spots in 17th at the moment. one of the beneficiaries of all that garbage early on. Yes, he did have to come in and grab a fast repair on lap 1, but Eduardo Zamora's parked up. Joe's on the tow road. Mark Heppel got a stop and hold, 43.41 seconds on pit lane on the opening lap. So Pete's been the beneficiary of the collateral damage that's unfolded around him. As we come back up onto the main straight one more time. Lillis, Yeaman, Jones, Hasler, Chapman. This is a great little scrap for third. Through 9th at the moment. Roche up on the outside, Han up on the outside. Chapman's being pounced on. Is Chapman up to his usual no-good suspect tricks of fuel saving, I wonder? And he doesn't mind a fuel save here at the Algarve International Circuit. That's how he won the Australian Open Nationals some time ago, Adam Lavis. He's a crafty little character.
He is, and surprisingly, like, although this track looks like it's a fairly open track with the big long front straight, it is actually a pretty fuel efficient track with the amount of corners and medium sort of throttle inputs you're doing around those sort of sweeping corners. So it is one of those tracks where you can save a bit of fuel. Unfortunately though, the SFL is very efficient as it is, so you don't really save much because it already does less than a litre a minute, so that's a pretty efficient little beast.
And after all the moaning and groaning and whinging that took place after the fuel save at Okayama, I believe Josh Zuno's tightened the belts anyway on the fuel tank.
I believe so. I think I did 45% for these guys because they were complaining about the 50% when I was recreating the server for the third time after there were some issues. So yeah, Monday night was one of those nights to forget last week.
It certainly was. I was going to say you had to recreate the server. Then your computer didn't want to cooperate. STK didn't want to cooperate. Oh, it was just a hell of a night. Sam Chapman to pit lane. So that answers the question. He's not fuel saving. There we go. Interesting to note though that I wasn't disappointed entirely with having last Monday night off, mate. I was able to watch Home and Away and Australian Idol at 8 and 8:30 respectively, which is a little bit earlier than usual. Usually I'm watching it in sync with Western Australia. Usually they're seeing it on their television about the time I'm tuning in, by the time we've got off air with GT3.
And the most annoying thing about that is SDK was working and a server glitch happened just before we wanted to go live, so it was working during all the server updates.
Yeah, of course, always the way. As I've said before, ladies and gentlemen, technology is a beautiful thing when it works, and an absolute mongrel of a thing when it doesn't. Speaking of technology, hope you enjoyed, if you did tune into my Zach Motorsport page over the weekend on Facebook, you would have seen coverage from the ACT titles down there in Canberra. I don't want to speak too soon, but the club's already talking about getting me back down there in November for the Canberra Cup. So, I mean, that's the beautiful thing about them. They're in the capital city of the territory, so they get to run the territory title, right? So the Blue Plate meeting, which they ran yesterday. Then they get to run the capital city specific title, the Canberra Cup. And they host a round of the Dunlop Kart Stars Series. So 3 major meetings, and it's been in the space of 4 or 5 months at the Canberra Kart Club. But thankfully the Cup meeting itself will not be until November, and straight on the back of the end of the Dunlop Kart Stars Series in Lithgow. So it'll be a good little period of travelling around this fine country of ours and getting any excuse to get out of Queensland at that point of the year, as you know, Adam Levis, to enjoy the progressive civilisation of daylight saving. Luke Brooker, we're right on board with him for the first time. He's chasing Adam Funslow. Chris Henn up there in 6th spot. Bit hard to give you oh no. Luca Troyans goes bolted off the road, lost a bit of time. But Sam Chapman's second on corrected order at the moment, based on those that have stopped. Tyson Broad's just out ahead of him, 1.73 seconds to be good. Joe Baldwin's parked up, Eduardo Zamora's parked up, Mark Heppel's still running with an invoice having stopped on lap 1 and got that slowdown, that stop and hold penalty I should say. JD Dent's also down a spot, but a bit hard to gauge where everybody else is because the top half of the field's yet to stop, the top 11 yet to stop. Luca Troyan just going to pit lane now, so it's a definitive split. Top 11 haven't stopped, bottom 10 have, even though 2 of those have parked up permanently. Red Bull will be watching to find another driver for Liam. Yeah. I must admit, ladies and gentlemen, I know much of the country spent yesterday on the lounge watching the Grand Prix, and rightly so. Obviously, I didn't get a chance to because by the time I got out of the territory, it was 5 o'clock. And when I drove into Goulburn, I had to go across town, like literally drive through the town to find the servo with the best, most economical fuel cost. And even then, it was 11 cents a litre dearer than what it was on Friday in Cessnock. Did the trip down and back in a tank and a half, which I was very happy with for the I-30. Even more grateful for the people that decided to run the gauntlet and tow me along in the process at 130 kilometres an hour. But less said about that, the better, in case we've got someone from law enforcement tuning in to the platform of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club.
We've had, I just realised, Mark Happel, second on the grid, has had a pit lane penalty.
I think I've mentioned that twice.
Oh.
Am I just background noise to you at the moment, Adam?
I had something else going on in the background.
Copy. 43.41 seconds. That screams stop and hold. Even JD Dead stop with 19.96 doesn't add up either, quite frankly, when you look at all the other stops being 4, 5, 6 seconds.
He probably
took tyres.
Probably took tyres and a full tank of fuel rather than a splash.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's all right, mate. I'm used to that because so many times Mum and Dad have had people come up to them and say, "Oh, Zach does such a great job of the commentary." It's just noise to us now. We don't hear it. It's just like the wind. Now, Joel Farley, keep the speed on the virtual track, absolutely, or on the real world racetrack, of course. But the funny thing for mine in all of that is, like, I'm one of those people. They'll leverage your 10% with your speed on the road, so 115 is a safe sort of place to sit on the drive home. I did the trip down in 4 hours and 20 minutes to the nation's capital. I was very happy with that. But the trip home got derailed by a couple of things. One, I had to drop into Goulburn. I got caught talking there to the petrol attendant because there was barely any bowser open, so he was fast running out of fuel. Then we got talking about a couple of other things. Then I had to make a second personal pit stop at the twin servos at Tuggerah on the run up the M1. And then as I've gone through to Cessnock, I was running against the clock because I needed some caramel syrup for my coffee, which I'm drinking at the moment. I'd run out and I didn't think to go to Coles whilst I was in Queanbeyan. So I raced down to Coles in Cessnock. They shut at 10 o'clock. I was there at 9:45, so we had a good run home from the nation's capital. Can't wait to go there again in probably November at this point. A lot more travel between now and then.
Yeah. Chapman
down the inside of Tyson Broad.
He was invited by Tyson to go by.
Just gifted. Maybe that's gamesmanship from Broad saying I might be able to save a little bit of juice here.
Well, I heard on the radio before he made the move, but also they've lost 2 seconds to Lillis in the last couple of laps. So, because the gap was 44 when I first was crossed, and it was up to 46 for something. So, maybe Tyson thinks that Chapman can drag him along a little bit more than he was doing. So, see if that works for him.
Lillis is running the gauntlet. But anyway, the point I was making about going to the nation's capital. So obviously, because I've been occupied the last 2 days. I got home last night, caught the end of the Australia-Korea match in the Women's Asian Cup. Haven't seen the AFL, haven't seen the NRL, except to see that Brisbane got absolutely pummeled the other night. The main thing I did see was a bit of the Women's Test match and Formula One qualifying. Haven't seen the race, haven't seen IndyCar. Am aware of a couple of things that have obviously gone on. How could you not be? I had a competitor in the paddock race up to show me the video of Oscar doing what he did on the formation lap. But and you feel for him because of the same reason you feel for Scott McLaughlin doing the same thing on the formation laps of the Indy 500 last year. So all that's happened. And then, of course, we're doing a double-up broadcast today. So by the time I see the Australian Grand Prix of 2026, it'll probably be just in readiness for 2027, quite frankly. You just don't have enough time in the day to catch up at the moment. Plus, I'm also Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 3 episodes already behind on home and away. So we'll see how we go. 19 minutes gone here. Where are we? Perfect. 12 in 19 minutes. I'm pretty sure I said that from the outset. So another 7 to go. Based on those numbers, because that gets you the 10.5 minutes, but it also allocates for the extra 5. So 7, 10 and a half, 11 minutes and 5 seconds, plus the pit stop. So yes, no, pretty much a full lap of overtime about to come your way, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't it nice when the maths works out? And Scout's honour, don't have a calculator or anything in front of me at the moment, so that was all just mental arithmetic off the head. And one of these days I'll have a webcam set up, and I think there's a message request from one of the Johns of the club, either Merritt or Baldwin. I couldn't pick up the handle with regards to a webcam, so I will get back to that once I get back to Ipswich and once I get settled. Because I went through my message request the other day. Isn't Discord silly, right? Because you don't get notifications into your inbox when you get a message request, only when someone actually sends you a message that goes directly to the inbox. So I've launched in there the other day. Had confirmation from Kelly McLaren that yes, Kelly is male, because Dad was a big fan of Kelly Slater the surfer. Scott Hasler here giving Brendan Grosh and Chris Hen a bit of a hurry up. Hen back to 6th spot now, and Hasler through to 5th. The next two up the road are Grosh and Jones. Hasler through to 5th and Hen through to 6th, yeah? Is that right?
Hen was attacking.
And Grosh to pit lane. Oh, Hen was trying to get through. Sorry, I didn't catch the start of that. Yeah, okay, gotcha. So, in other words, Grosh was able to withstand the pressure. Hasler has gone in and so has Grosh, so the two DPR teammates have taken to pit lane. We can't be far away from the rest of them making their way into their compulsory splash and dash either, ladies and gentlemen. Hilton Booth, Brett Bradbury yet to stop behind these two. Grosh in and out, gone in 4.3 seconds, 4.4 for Hasler, so they'll resume where they were. Baldwin, Brooker, Funslow, Hedden, Jones, Yeaman and Lillis at the top 7. And also Bradbury and Booth yet to stop. So that's still 9 drivers yet to stop in this race. And we are, as I say, only 5.5 laps away from the checkered flag. But yeah, it was so, yeah, there was a message there from Kelly McLaren, there was a message there from somebody else. Ryan Jones even messaged me, and I talk to Jonesy all the time, obviously in our post-race shows, but there was a message request from him. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And all that was with reference to was the broadcast. What's going on there? You know, are we on tonight? Are we off tonight? And I said, mate, no Thursdays live until further notice. Don't worry, I'll be the first one to be screaming about it and shouting it from the rooftops once that changes. And I also had a couple of Carters over the course of the weekend in Canberra talk about their sim racing exploits and wanting to get involved and do some more of it for you know, recreational hobby, match fitness, whatever. And I do have to actually send the link to our website to Xavier Pridham from Junior Heavy down there as well. So hopefully a few more members on the way to the club. But if you want to get involved, remember the website, race.tgsrci.com. Grosh throws a dummy.
Sorry, man.
He's already pitted. I don't know. So I don't know why he was going to the inside. Was he trying to get the slipstream?
He was trying to steal as much slipstream as possible.
Yeah, right. So in goes Baldwin, Booth and Bradbury on that note, and still the top 4 yet to stop. Brooker, Funslow, Jones and Lillis. Whoa!
I was going to say, if Chris Hen could hold that, he would have made position there. It's getting tight.
Oh, 3 wide. That's Chapman around the outside. You can make it work, but not when you are that far out. Tyson got a lap 1 meatball. Okay, copy that. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. So that explains why he's been running somewhat hamstrung throughout the course of the evening. That's why he had to stop on lap 3. But what I'm interested in seeing now, mate, is bold of you to call last week's reinforcement. Well, we were only basing that on the conversation from the week before with Mark Hilly, mate. But yes, that's all good and well. Lillis and Jones to pit lane. It'll be interesting to see if Brody being able to save stopping until lap 3 will actually help him make it to the checkered flag. That's what I'm interested in. He's obviously 50 seconds behind and not going to factor in the equation because he's 13 seconds behind you at the moment. But now the top 4 are all in. So 15 was the critical number. So that means that poor old Broady's got to get 16 laps out of this tank. Will that be to his downfall, to his detriment? We'll wait and see. Lewis resumes in the lead, and the margin is extraordinary at 7.5 seconds, 6.5 as it comes down.
So
Jonesy is another 7 back, and here's the battle for 9th.
So he's going to have to find another lap because the leaders only did 15 laps on their stint.
Correct. And we've established by way of multiple calculations. No, Brendan Grosh is gone. Brendan Grosh is gone. Wowee. What on earth is going on there? He's not only is he going to have to find the extra lap, it might take him out of this fight. He might not actually be able to go and have at it in the battle for 5th.
Even though there's 6 cars here, I actually heard Tyson Broad lifting and coasting into the hairpin then. So he is still fuel saving to try and make it.
Hopefully we'll see you back in the booth on Wednesday night too, by the way, Yeaman. I'm making my way back to Ipswich tomorrow night, ready for Wednesday, so keep you posted. Lewis, Yeaman, and Jones, Hen, Funslow, Hasler, Broad and Chapman, the top 8 here.
So far
Chapman's still a chance of getting a top 5. This could all blow up yet.
Yeah, so far the ILAC guys are the ones that won the pit stop phase. They managed to jump at least 1 DPR or 2 DPRs, given that Grosh is now out, and also Chapman and Broad. So the pit stops worked out for them. So now they just need to hold on for another 2 laps and see if they can get this result. Well, actually, it might be 3 laps, given how far up the road Lewis is, actually. He might sneak an extra lap in here.
He may well. You're right. Chris Hen. We'll see where Lewis is at the end of this lap.
Oh!
Trouble! There it is. It blows up. The seas part. Broad goes through. Chapman goes with him. Goodbye. Hen, Funslow and Hasler all compromised as a result of contact at 3. As I said, Chapman was still a chance at the top 5. And I do that with having not yet seen any results or paperwork or anything to suggest that I knew what the hell was going on. I just knew that battle pack was brewing and spelling trouble. So Chapman through to 5th and now a chance at 4th, because if Brody runs out of fuel, he's going to have to go through. In fact, Brody might invite him to go through so that he can save that juice that we were talking about a moment ago. The margins are extraordinary, though. I don't think I've ever seen a Super Formula Light field as spread out as this in the top 3. It's 7 seconds Lewis to Yeaman. It's 8 seconds Yeaman to Jones. It's 6.5 Jones to Broad. When have you ever seen those 4 guys spread out that far?
It's no white flag. But that's should be bunny strike.
No. It should be the next time through.
Okay.
Yeah. No, this is only lap 18. It should be 19. Should be the end of this lap we see the white flag. Yeah.
I wonder if these 2 boys have managed to get survive with the minimal damage there, because they did. Okay, good night. They're in.
There we go. So Hen and Funslow taken out of it in more ways than one, and that will allow potentially John Baldwin to jump up a couple of spots here as well. Big dive! Tyson Broad, that's lap traffic. He's trying to get by lap traffic. What the hell is going on here? That is unbelievable. Luke Brook is also in the mix. Is that Pistol? It is. It's Pistol Pete Batson that they've ganged up on. And Tyson Broad has gone through to try and keep Sam Chapman at bay. Luke Brook has gone through as well. What on earth was that? I've never seen such a forceful overtaking manoeuvre executed on a back marker on a lapped car in the 6 years I've been here on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. That is ridiculous. Forceful from Broad. It'll be all but drop there 1, 2 and 4. That is Troyan off the road momentarily and Hasler off the road again as well. Scott Hasler doing donuts. If there is a plan, I'm not privy to it. Okay, very good. Very good. But it's looking good for you now, mate, with Watto, of course, sitting this week out. Well, if he hasn't renewed his membership, then he won't be on the grid tonight either. Oh dear. Hilton Booth, 11th. Trying to get into the top 10. Brett Bradbury, the man standing in his way. Lillis should have seen the white flag that time through. Should be on the way home.
It's a maybe.
Jamin, Jones, Broad, Chapman, Brooker, and Baldwin. 23 seconds to go. There's no maybe about it. He's not making it back. But he's only halfway through the 19th lap. He's not making it back. Checkered flag should fly this time by, surely. Unless they've pulled a Swifty on us and sent this field to 20, I'd be very surprised. Have a look at this. Is Barney waving white? Is Barney even there?
Yeah,
yep, good. He is there. Okay, so Broad was feeling comfortable on fuel by this point. Lillis has been comfortable all night. Never headed at the front of this field. Bit like Mark Hilly last week, but without the courtesy of ceding position to Dan Yeaman late in the piece. Harrison Lillis back on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, back in Super Formula Light, back in victory lane. Chalk up a race win in round 7 of Waste Option Super Formula Light. And a very, very comprehensive one at that. He smashed them. 8.9 seconds to the good on Yeaman.
And
Ben Ryan, Jones, Sam Chapman, and Luke Brooker.
Brody might have been uncomfortable on fuel, but he looks like he's had a bit of a spin on the last lap there because he's got an incident next to his name and fallen back a bit.
We'll have a look at some highlights in a moment, I'm sure. 12:23 Eastern Daylight Time. We will be taking you to the Nürburgring in Germany very shortly, ladies and gentlemen. That'll be for AM Racing in GT3. Then the Pro Split feature race from the third sprint round of the season for that championship. Very much looking forward to that. Harrison Lillis smashes the competition. I mean, we were talking about Mark Hilly joining the winners list a fortnight ago in round 6. He didn't do that, as we've already documented. He ceded position, thinking that he was doing Yeaman a favour with regards to the championship fight, and he absolutely was. It was very gentlemanly type etiquette from him. But now he joins the winners list, which includes Yeaman, Watson, Jonesy still, that first race win in SFL eludes him at this point, still ruining what might have been at Donington. Chapo's got a race win in there as well. Just struggling to read the rest of the points table at the moment, folks, and it's not an issue that can be fixed without minimising the zoom on the internet here, because on the screen here, because I'm not using the usual setup, which is a 27-inch monitor that has all this preset beautifully for me. But yes, Watson, Yeaman, Chapman, all with race wins to their names so far this season. Now Harrison Lillis joins the fun.
Also, looking at the results here, things went from bad for worse for Chris Henn, because he also got a pit lane penalty doing that meatball, so ended up a lap down, unfortunately.
Indeed he did, and in saying all of that, have a look at the other talking points out of all of that. Another podium for Jonesy, Mr. Consistent when it comes to podiums at the moment. I mean, and he's got 1 second to his name, but a whole bunch of thirds. That is back-to-back thirds for him. Yeaman in for second. Again, consistency is the key to a championship victory for him. Chapo back to fourth. Nice recovery. Got by Brooker. Broad, of course, slipped 2 positions on the final lap. Baldwin, Hudson, and then Bradbury and Booth. Funslow dropped back. In fact, if we can bring that back, please, Adam, that would be great. There we go.
I was just refreshing.
You're right.
I was just refreshing. If Ryan Jones would actually go and update his team on an SDK profile, I stuff that to do myself. So,
well, that's correct. Absolutely. Come on, Jonesy, pull your weight. Funslow, Hasler, Wakefield. Hasler, that was the other talking point. He dropped out of it late in the piece there. Pirouetting donuts, burnouts, etc. Going up round the roller coaster. Wakefield, Henn, Natson was a lap down. So too Dent and Troyan. Heppel finished 2 laps down. Grosh, of course, 3 laps down. Probably still did enough to get classified, but only just. Joe Baldwin and, of course, Eduardo Zamora non-finishes in all of that. Championship points update for you. because the drop rounds come into the equation, ladies and gentlemen, there it is for you. Come on, Watto. Renew your membership this afternoon, son. Get back in there. This is going to be good. 291 plays Marcus Watson on 285. Sam Chapman, 254. Ryan Jones, 239. And Scott Hasler, 207. Christopher Hand on 193. Brendan Grosh on 187. Luke Brooker on 176. Adam Funslow, the same. Bondi, we haven't seen him for a couple of weeks for the same reason we haven't seen Watson. 132 points. Guy Legend, Watto Zamora, David Baz, Aaron Cooper, and John Ball will make up the top 15 of the points race. I've just had a missed call come in from an 03 number, which I think is that Victoria? So I don't know who's ringing me down there on a public holiday. I suspect a spam, so we'll ignore that, and we'll get back to that at a later point in time. John Baldwin, these are the highlights of the race for you. The incidents played out, the race that was. This is what happened to Eduardo Zamora on the opening lap. He's going to get carved up, isn't he? Yep. Straight over the top. Wow. Ugly. But that explains why we had 4 drivers on pit road at the end of the opening lap. Pete Madsen was involved. This is Pete. Watch Pete go.
Oh, Pete
got turned because everybody got checked up.
No, he got done by the regional.
Car 173 lap 1.
Okay, Sample's going wide, and he comes back on, straight into Maddo. So that's why Maddo's a grief.
Yep. There we go. Let's have a look now at what happened to Mark Heppel. How did Tyson Broad pick up a meatball? That's what I'm interested in. Luca Troyan?
I assume it's just contact somewhere. There's no incident for it.
Massive spin. Have a look at the smoke billowing off the tyres. Tyson Broad, yeah, that might have been it right there. Turn 1, bang.
No,
how do you pick up a meatball for that?
He's...
Oh!
Not sure.
And now I've got a good message coming through from the great man Pete Madsen, actually. So I'll get back to that in the intermission as well. I just saw that come up on Discord. Thank you, mate. I didn't get to read all of it. That was just a notification in the bottom corner. So I'll get back to you in intermission if I've got some time. Might even have to go and top up the coffee mug. Let's have a look. Joe Baldwin. This is what happened to Trucker. Oh, jeez. Ski jump. He's tried to jump the rumble strip and come off second best. Troyan on the right hand side. Have a look. That was just unfortunate for him running wide at turn 3. There are a few of those incidents. A lot of lockups, and then that was just a little bit too friendly on the accelerators. Who is rejoining there. Kevin Wakefield 15th. And not helping his own exploits there. But we saw a lot of that, didn't we? A lot of tyre lock.
This is Brendan Grosh's one.
Spin. This is Brendan Grosh. He's come down.
He's slowly come across, and Pete was still there.
He was trying to get by Pete the same way as Tyson Broad did, but yeah, not so successful. Grosh into the wall.
So this is the lock-up. So it's just, unfortunate lock-up there. Just missed his braking zone and couldn't pull up. Took out 2 other guys.
That was the first of 2, yeah. For Hasler, or 3 actually. That was the second one.
This will
up the hill here.
This will just be too much jandal.
Yep.
Oh, and curb.
Every day of the week. Oh, and curb and AstroTurf. Yep. Triple threat. Lethal combination.
Oh, Apple's out of fuel.
That would explain. Well, he did pit on lap 1.
Right, and
he did pit on lap 1.
Tyson's last lap one. Let's see what happened here.
Already on the last lap. Oh, he's made a mistake all on his own.
I think he was
got away with it, but lost 2 spots.
It looked like. Hang on, let's go on board. Basically, it's probably chances are because he's now feeling comfortable. He hasn't lifted and coasted the airpin for the first time in a while. Out broke himself and then lit it up. So he just caught himself out by having enough fuel to run 100% again. That's it.
Very nicely done. All the highlights there for you. Thanks to Adam Lavis. Very nicely done. I'm going to have to Google that potential spam phone number that came through during that race as well, just to make sure that it's not a call that I need to return. I hope you're enjoying it. The platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club, Monday afternoon motorsport now in most of the progressive and civilised parts of Australia, including South Australia, actually. Adelaide Cup Day over there as well. Big day for the locals. Been a big weekend. Not done yet. Any replay broadcast for last Thursday night? GT4 Porsche in the works. No pressure. The to-do list sounds like it is long. Yeah, no, just to answer that before I throw to a break here so that we can go to GT3. Adam and I, we're skeletal staff at the moment. We've got Dan Yeaman and Joe Baldwin, obviously, but when it comes to replays, that's usually Adam's and my prerogative. We probably would have done it on Friday just gone, but we would have been in direct competition with the Grand Prix, and it also would have compromised my ability to get in transit down to Canberra to do the karting commentary down there for the weekend. There are definitely plans in place. It'll be a bit like when we did round 2 and 3 back-to-back on one afternoon. Adam and I are going to compare diaries over the course of the remainder of this afternoon once we get off air and see what we can come up with. But yes, there are plans to broadcast it at some point. And then, of course, the same applies to this coming Thursday night as well. Looking forward to revisiting last Thursday night because it was an Australian doubleheader, Mount Panorama and the Adelaide Parklands. So we will be doing it. It's just a matter of when. And, of course, as best we can, we'll advise you when we're going to go live for an as-live replay on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We're here with thanks to Waste Options, with thanks to the great people at Trophy AI, merch.tgsrci.com, Flash Graphics and Disruptive Labs. Merch.tgsrci.com is where you go for all your GSRC paraphernalia. Race.tgsrci.com is where you go for all the relevant club information and details, how to sign up and join in the fun of the fair. GSRC.myshopify.com will take you to the same link as merch.tgsrci.com just for future reference. So, we're halfway through. We are going M Sprint Racing next, then Pro Feature Sprint Racing, and we're looking forward. If it doesn't happen, I'll just have to send you my best over. I like it. Good on you, Munchie. Hey, we'll take a break. Great to have you on board. Speaking of Munchies, might be time for me to crack open the chocolate bar, the Kit Kat Chunky. We'll take a break. We're coming back. It's Monday Motorsport, wherever you're tuning in around Australia or indeed the world. 2:35 in New Zealand, 12:35 on the East Coast, 9:35 a.m. on the West Coast. We're only just getting started. We are back very shortly to bring you race 1 of round 7 of Waste Options GT3. And then later tonight, of course, we're live for all the week 8 action, should Adam, of course, not have a repeat of last week. And let's hope that isn't the case. Back with more soon. Hope you're enjoying our coverage. Very good to have you company wherever you're tuning in, all around Australia or indeed the world. The platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club and a Monday afternoon edition of Waste Options. GT3 coming your way. And Brad Washer, oh damn, I thought my first ever GT3 rain experience would stay in the Shadow realm. No, absolutely not, mate. We are bringing you, to answer the questions that came in during the intermission, we are bringing you all the action from the AM split in race 1. Pete Matson correctly identified that. And the pro split in race 2, proving, because I already said it 3 times in the first half of the broadcast, that no one's really listening to me today. I'm just background noise. This is the Nürburgring in Germany. We are on the Grand Prix configuration today for this sprint round of Waste Options GT3, the third sprint round of 4 in the campaign. There's another one coming up in week 9, of course, and then that is also on German turf. And then we finish with 90 minutes around Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, to bring the curtain down on Turn 1 action in GT3 for 2026 or 1914 for our Queensland audience. 2 minutes past 5 local server time, 19 km/h winds in a south to southwesterly direction, 19 degrees the ambient, 19 on track. Dry so far, but we are told that rain is in the air. We'll have a look at that in just a moment. 5.07 kilometres this circuit. It is the configuration that's been in place as the Grand Prix layout since 2002. I remember Darrell Eastlake and Alan Jones doing a little bit of an explanation on the changes to the circuit year on year at the very opening of the broadcast for the European Grand Prix that year, because the German Grand Prix was still at Hockenheim. Nathan Harvey leads the AM split, 269 plays Tristan Koch, 244, Jesse McMenamin, 232, Martin Davis, 218 and 203 for Braden O'Loughlin, Robert Gay, Tim Watson, JD Dead, Edward Rollo, and Anthony Cuthbertson make up the top 10. 123 points covers first through 10th. At the moment, you've got Porsche, Audi, Mercedes, Lambo, Chev, and McLaren all in the top 10. 5 Porsches dominate the top 10, but you've got 5 other manufacturers represented. The good thing about this split is we have a vast array of different manufacturers lining up on the grid. It is just not the Porsche 2.0 show that we are seeing in GT3 Pro. There is a very gloomy looking Nürburgring in Germany coming in back of shot, ladies and gentlemen, as we have a look. Yeah, it ain't relenting anytime soon either. Have a look at that. It's heavy, and it's going to cause all sorts of drama and trouble for our competitors here in this one. Puddles forming all around the place. It'll be wet, it'll be dark, it'll be gloomy, lights ablaze. Martin Pedersen is on second spot on the grid, but have a look at the margin. It was only 0.052 off Brad Kleck's pole position time, 1:56.883. Those times will be significantly slower in the wet conditions. Martin Davis, Jonathan Harris, second row. JD Dent, Nathan Harvey, third row. Jesse McMenamin, Pete Matson. Good to see Pistol up there on the fourth row. Tristan Koch and Anthony Cuthbertson from 5. From 6, it's Robert Gay, Luke Wegener. From 7, Edward Rollo, Tim Watson. From 8, Darren Miller and Braden O'Loughlin. From 9, Logan Griffin and Ryan Levitt. From 10, Troy Mortensen and Colin Bennett. Mercedes, Porsche, Ford, Lambo, McLaren, Chev, Audi, Ferrari. I think that's 8 already I've mentioned. 8 different manufacturers represented in this field. That is great to see. We including the 2 new manufacturers as well. So we've got no BMW and no Acura out there at the moment. I reckon we're missing another one as well. No Aston, of course. No Aston Martin. So there's your 8 out of a possible 11. And the world's really their oyster at iRacing. I mean, there's still a couple of manufacturers that they haven't scratched the surface with. But 11 is far better range to work with than the 6 we had when we first started this back in April 2020. Moving off behind the course car now, ready for a tricky slip and slide around the Nürburgring. Dicey conditions, very wet. They've had a dry practice in qualifying, now a baptism of fire in the tipping down rain. All Mustang front row, Brad Keck, Martin Pedersen, Martin Davis, Jonathan Harris, JD Dent, Nathan Harvey, Pete Matson and Jesse McMenamin do share the 4th row. The 5th row is, of course, Koch and Cuthbertson. ready to fire. The pace car pulls off the pit lane. No pit stops in this race, only in the second race in GT3 Pro. In the feature of the day, will we see these guys transit the pit lane for a compulsory pit stop. Anything that happens in this race will be triggered by circumstances that arise throughout the course of the next 21 minutes. Let's go to work at the Nürburgring in Germany. Our first visit to Germany this season in GT3. Clean start, and they're going to have to treat the first corner with a huge level of respect. There's the trouble already. Tim Watson. That's not how you enter turn one, my friend, unfortunately. 10 points for the skill shown, though, in keeping that reverse running relatively straight and without impeding too many competitors on the way through. Good evasive action taken by both as we make our way through. Have a look at it, it's hosing down. What was it like in your split, Adam Lavis?
In the Pro-Am, it was just like drying with some puddles in race one. So it was just you said watch out for puddles, and then relatively dry with very minimal puddles in race two. So we had the Pro-Am split had basically dry conditions for the two races. That's not the same for the Am and the Pro-Am.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Trouble. Martin Pedersen takes to the grass. Oh, also Brad Keck. Brad Keck's on the grass on the exit of the hairpin at the bottom of the circuit. On the approach up towards the Schumacher S. Brad Keck right to the back of the field. Bar Colin Bennett. Bennett didn't start. So we're down to 19 already. Porsche holds sway. Martin Davis up 2 spots. Nathan Harvey up 4. Pete Matson up 5 in the Fez. Thanks for coming, Pistol. Have a look at it, absolutely lashing down. We try to bring you about 3 AM races a year, or a term I should say, Pete, so that's 12 per annum. A bit hard, of course, when everything's happening simultaneously. Oh, trouble, that's JD Dent off as well. So, okay, so we've already identified Brad Washer as Brad Keck. Thank you, Kecky. Appreciate that. Brian Levitt's had a spin. Martin Davis still leads the race with Jono Harris and Nathan Harvey. And Matson up to 4th already. Harris down the outside.
Yeah, it is.
Trouble at 1 and gone. There goes Jono Harris. Well off the road and out of business. Davis went with him as well. They're all going off at shades of the 2007 European Grand Prix at Turn 1 at the moment. But these guys actually have no excuse. They're on wet tyres.
I know they were big because we had I think our qualifying was well or something. Basically, that white line for the pit exit in the middle of the track, it was a banana peel for anybody that straddled it for too long.
Brian Levitt has recovered to 18th. Martin Pedersen now off the road. He's driving down the order. Survival of the fittest here, ladies and gentlemen. Mortensen to pit lane. Have a look at this. Griffin and Levitt struggling. They're saying 17th and 18th exactly where they started. Mortensen 19th exactly where he started. JD Dent's lost 11. Martin Davis has lost 10. Martin Pedersen's lost 9. Jonathan Harris has lost 6 positions, and Brad Keck has lost 14. He's the trump card at the moment. He's the leader of the bunch as far as positions lost is concerned. Anthony Cuthbertson off the road now. Cuthbertson gone. It just disappeared off the face of the planet. Packet loss. Goodbye. Thanks for coming. And now off the road goes Christian Koch. Oh boy. The Audi pointing the wrong way. Out of the Schumacher S. Harvey, Madsen, McManaman, Wegener, and Braden O'Loughlin. 2 Lambos in the top 5. What a time to be alive. Griffin in 15th, under pressure here. 14th now from JD Dent. Off now goes Robert Gay. Oh, it's pandemonium here. Oh, trouble, gone, goodbye. Martin Pedersen again. And this time he got clouded because he parked in the middle of the road. and it just became a parking lot. Everybody checked up, pulled up, essentially, and there's Edward Rollo as well, essentially slowing to a grinding halt. Track blocked, cars stopped on track, but thankfully cleared well enough before a safety car had to be deployed. Braden O'Loughlin, deep at turn 1, but he's okay. Oh, there was a lot in that. Your incident tracker must be going off the Richter.
It's pretty colourful.
Oh yeah.
Timmy Watson, going backwards into turn 1, has managed to get back in the top 10 here.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it? At margin at the front, Nathan Harvey 2.5 to Pete Matson. Maybe that's the reason why Pete's so eagerly tuned in on a Monday from Gaindar. He's tuned in to watch himself maybe snag a W here. Nathan Harvey, Jesse McManaman, 1 and 3 at the moment. Matson in the middle, 5 different manufacturers in the top 5. Porsche, Ferrari, Merc, Rambo, and Ford. Harvey, the fastest lap of the race, 2:15.239. Happy days! And we're back to do it tonight as well, ladies and gentlemen. 7:40 Eastern Daylight Time. Hope you'll join us for that. Of course, week 8, another big one on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. There goes Brad Keck again. I'm just not enjoying the wet. I know he made a comment about it there a few moments ago, but I didn't get a chance to read it because there was too much happening in front of him on the screen.
So it looked like he went for a move into the hairpin, went a bit deep, and just clipped the outside curb in the white paint, looped him around.
Yep. Now, tonight, by the way, Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya, sprint racing for the Super Formula Lights. 60-minute race, last one of the campaign, Marco Simoncelli Circuit, Mazzano World Circuit, Italy for the GT3s. And we are bringing you the Pro Split tonight. Next week, the Am and Pro-Am split in action from the Sachsenring in Germany, final sprint round of the campaign. And then, of course, the week after, the Pro Split live and exclusive from Road America, the grand final of the campaign. And a 90-minute enduro as well. Down the inside, that's Martin Davis on the comeback trail. Tim Watson around his outside. Watson the only Whiskey Business Racing entry out there at the moment. That's an interesting observation. Not sure I can make tonight, says Brad Keck. I'm hoping that's not that the weather settings have kind of deterred you, mate. I'm hoping that's just that real world commitments are creeping in. Robert Gay also finding his way to the gravel, and he's not the only one. Logan Griffin as well, down at turn 1 in the gravel. Martin Davis in 9th place at the moment, make it 8th on the way through.
The annoying thing about that turn 1 situation is if they go so
you and
far,
I are both noticing that.
They go so far deep into the turn 1 that it actually registers them as at turn 4, so they jump up the leaderboard.
Pete Matson, yes, great recovery from Harris. And you're holding steady there in second at the moment, under pressure from Jesse McManaman, mate. Only 2.2 away from Nathan Harvey. And Pistol, by the way, remind me at the end of the broadcast, and I'll make sure that I state, because this is the thing I was saying earlier about my disdain for Discord, right? In the fact that message requests come in and they don't give you an alert about it. You've got to actually dig into your message inbox and find it yourself. And hence I saw 4 last week. Just busy, loving the rain so far, despite having only raced in it 3 times, despite spinning far too much for your own liking in this race at the Nürburgring as well. Have a look at this. It's hosing down. They'd be throwing the red flag out and surrendering if this was the real world. It's absolutely lashing down. It's great to watch, though. Great spectacle, a test of skill and character. Moderately wet, yeah, I'll challenge that. 25 km/h winds, they're stiff. 12 past 10 local server time. 26 km/h winds.
Moderately wet, they might not throw the red, but it might be getting close to safety car type situation. It's not like it's when it's like the next step up is this is still raceable as long as we don't touch paint in the lines.
Oh, trouble and gone! And how lucky was Jesse McManaman to not take Pete Matson with him. Jonathan Harris goes through into position number 3. Great recovery from him, as Pete was saying. Harvey leads by 4.5. With all of that playing out behind him. Harris 2:13.207. Fastest lap of the race. Davis down wide to turn 1. Loses out in the battle with Miller. Watson in behind him around the outside. Yeah, so one of the things as well, going back to Pete's point, I don't actually live on Discord. I drop in here, I jump into the server, into the channel to do the broadcast, and I go back out. So it's one of those things where sometimes I see those notifications come in and I know I've got messages to get back to, but by the time you've done a 3-hour broadcast, it's the last thing you want to go and have a look at. It's easy enough to lose time just scrolling through your phone doing that sort of stuff there. Catching up on Instagram and Facebook, etc. So yes, no, Pete, I see your message, mate. I'll get back to you as soon as we get out there. He wants Adam and I coordinate what we're doing for the Thursday night replays as well. Lap 5 of 11. Look, put a line through 11. I don't think we're actually going to get the start of 11 lap. We're just running a little bit too far behind on time at the moment. We should be okay for... Hang on, let me try and do some mental arithmetic again. 2:13.2, so let's round that up to 2:15 just to make it easier. 2:15 and 2 is 4.5, 2 is 9, so there's 4 laps in 9 minutes, 8 and 18. We should get the 10th in. We should start the 10th lap before the 21 minutes expires. Jonathan Harris down the inside, gets by Pete. Right on cue, you were right about his pace. Just without luck earlier in the piece. Kenny reel in Nathan Harvey. That's now the question. 2:15.3 last time. Harvey. Harris across the line. 2:13.207 last time through. What about this time through? Oh no, that was this time through. 2:13.207. He's gone fastest lap again. Wow. What great pace. Back-to-back 13s from him. 4.4 the margin. A time to lap 6 in what we suspect will be 10, not 11. Oh, and off went Nathan Harvey briefly as well, so that'll help Harris out. And down the inside comes Watto. Oh, hold it! A little bit of a bump and rub on Martin Davis, but he gets away with it. He actually surrenders. He redresses the situation, just so he doesn't wear the rapid race control. Watto knows how it works. He's done enough race control at his time. Now he's vulnerable. Vulnerable. No, not anymore. That's our mate Brad Keck again. Sliding through the grass. Was looking to get up on the inside of Watto, not able to do so. He just set the fastest of the race, Brad. 2:12.243. So these guys are starting to get more comfortable with it. And oh no, off goes Martin Davis. Off goes Martin Davis. There he is rejoining. So Keck and Watson still gain a position out of all of that, somehow. 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 at the moment and 6 in the top 10. And then you look at the teams, right? So you've got 2 privateers out there, that's fine. You've got 2 Frog Leaps in the top 10. You've got 2 555 Sim Sports. So that's 2 teams, 4 teams, 75 Sport Aussie races, Whiskey Business, and actually 3 privateers, my apologies. So quite a good varying range of team representation out there, but also guys that just, and we have a few of these around the club, Adam. It's bound to happen in a club with more than 500 members in it at the moment. You get a few guys as they come across the line to start lap 7 and that are just happy to not be a part of a team community environment. They're just happy about to go about their business on their lonesome.
Well, yeah, some people, like, whether it's just that they haven't found the team yet, as Pete runs a little bit wide there, or maybe some people have a preference where they just want to run whatever liveries they want to run. So that the problem with the downside of running with a team is obviously there's going to be a livery that you got to sign up for, unless you can talk your way into getting a couple of your stickers on there. But yeah, it is good. The team thing's good because you get these things, you get in the Discord and sort of share ideas, share strategies, and keep an idea of where the race is at, and try and improve your own stat. But sometimes, like even Pete, for example, he's part of the team, but he doesn't like too much noise when he's racing because he can't talk and drive. So he doesn't always join the Discord. but he's there or thereabouts, but he does enjoy being part of the team. So it all comes down to personal preference of what you want, and whether you've got that group of people you want to team up with and share the experience with.
He's a little bit wide there going through the hairpin, but he got away with it, Pete. But, I'm the same, right? Obviously, when I'm in the commentary box, I expect it to be noisy. I expect it to be, chaotic. But when I'm driving, I quite often, if in the rare instance where I have a passenger, I'm very quick to say, happy to have a chat, but just shut up for a minute because I need to be able to concentrate on what I'm doing so that we get from A to B, unscathed. And once I've got the bearings right, and once there's no traffic or congestion or, idiocy around, which is rare in these parts, quite frankly, the roads are an insane place to be. The best thing is, once you're comfortable and once you're, able to concentrate on more than one thing at once, you can then start having a conversation, which is good fun. Jesse McMenamin having a spin there, heading up towards the chicane. That's going to cost him third place. But Pete goes through and McMenamin back to fourth. I'm trying to see what the paces are before you break. Then I'll worry about teams. That's it, Brad. Yep, absolutely. I'm sure, and he won't mind me saying this either. He'll probably be enjoying the public holiday as well without chiming in on our comment thread yet. I'm sure Greg Heaney will be open to recruiting that Whiskey Business Racing, mate. Don't worry about that. Jono Harris, 2:11.652. That margin comes down to 1.7 seconds between he and Nathan Harvey. Let's keep an eye on that. 2 blocks with 9. Start lap 8, 3 to go. Right, they're not getting to lap 11, based on the fact that it is absolutely tipping down at the moment. Watson bowls it wide at 1, too deep into the corner, and just aquaplaned. Caught it before it got to the gravel trap though, which was good. Martin Davis around the outside. So Watson relegated to 10th in all of that.
Oh, white line.
Oh, but it's only momentarily. Wowee. Not the first time Davis has a spin.
Just how quick those white lines can catch you out. Just an instant ice.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, Harris.
Oh, no. The charge is done. Nathan Harvey is a lot safer and breathing a lot easier now than what he was a minute ago. Jesse McMenamin also off the road down at the hairpin. Hello, Greg. Nice to have you tuning in, mate. Yes, we did. Brad Keck's happy doing his own thing at the moment, just seeing where he's at, picking up where he left off 4 years ago. But then he's going to worry about teams after that. And I said, well, you're the chief recruiter of competitors in the team there, in this club, so I'm sure you'll get the invoice book out or the checkbook out and bring him to the negotiation table over a nice shot or two of whiskey. It'll be good. I hope you're enjoying the long weekend, mate. Go well. We'll see you tonight. 17.5 minutes gone, 17.75 minutes gone. Nathan Harvey breathing a lot easier. The margin 4 seconds. It was 1.6. Harris with that mistake has probably let the chance of victory go begging. A chance that he probably wouldn't have wanted to let slip, but these conditions are a monumental test for these drivers, particularly at the AM split. We can marvel in what the pro boys do, but the fact that these guys are applying their trade in conditions that are this diabolical is a credit to their own ability. We have 3 very competitive splits of GT3 racing in this club, and you're starting to realise that wherever you look, there aren't any slabs at all. I know it's a pace thing and I know it's a matrix thing with all the formulas that you've drawn up, Adam Lavis, but these guys aren't dopes. They're very switched on, and to be able to do what they're doing and pedal through these conditions and drive to the conditions, the real world can take a nice little lesson out of it.
Indeed, yeah. All was ragged almost with a white line down the curb. But it is one of those things, even though they might not have the overall peak pace potential that the top guys have, they still know how to go around the track in a reasonable time and keep their racecraft up to a certain level. So they may be down the levels as far as the total drivers in this particular series are, but that's not going to stop them from having good racing and be very competitive.
I love how, right, this is the one thing I hate about the media in this country, right? The powers that be, Formula 1 and the FIA, have already come out this weekend and said, look, if we have to boycott our planned visit to Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, despite, best intentions over the last couple of years to fill the vacancies on the calendar, and they're presented John O'Harris on the road again, so there goes any chance, any hope of victory, and Pete Matson's gone through into second again on that note, so that's a great bit of good luck for Maddo there, and Harris, unfortunately, 3 mistakes, and he is in position number 3 as a result. Nathan Harvey, we've barely seen him. He's about to see the white flag. He's about to start the last lap. This has been a magnificent performance, and he is now 11 seconds to the good. Pays to stay clean. Pays to stay, pointed in the right direction. Pays to, oh no, there's Martin Pedersen off the road again. It all went pear-shaped for him, didn't it, in the early stages? But it pays to drive to the conditions. You don't need to go at 10-10. You don't need to go at 100%. And with a very controlled and consistent drive, Nathan Harvey leads this one by 10.5 seconds. Still, John O'Harris gets the fastest lap and maybe 3rd place as well. Invert top 10 for the second race, so Martin Davis sits on pole for that at the moment if he stays where he is. He's in a scrap with Tim Watson at the moment. Braden O'Loughlin trying to get by Brad Keck, who's recovered up into 6th spot from pole. But as we saw him in the weeds on the open market a couple of times after that as well. It's been a nice recovery. Tristan Koch is 12th. He's now 11th. He's got past Robert Gay. Oh, yeah, boy. The highlight reel is going to be a long one after this one, ladies and gentlemen. My goodness. All right, so Jesse McMenamin in 3rd. We're on the run home. There's a lot more noise around 33 Senate Street, where I'm broadcasting from today, Mum and Dad's house, than what there would normally be. Both the parentals are home. I can hear the vacuum in the background and Dad chastising the dogs. So a little bit more distraction at my end than what there would normally be at a broadcast. But we're working through it. Last lap, Nathan Harvey, through the puddles. One of the wetter GT3 races we've seen for the AM Split in club history ever since the Tempest weather system made its debut on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club through the iRacing server. And this has been a very nice performance from Nathan Harvey. And 2 triple five Sim Sport entries in the top 5. Rick Wegener holding on to 5th at the moment in the Lambo. 5 different manufacturers in the top 5. They're at the forefront of it all. Never headed. Only a little bit of a threat posed by John O'Harris there at one point, but a faultless drive and a clear and commanding win for Nathan Harvey and 555 Sim Sport on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. He wins race 1 of round 7 in Waste Options GT3M at the Nürburgring in Germany.
Oh, last lap, last
Pistol
corner.
in for second. Last corner, last roll of the dice. Brad Keck trying to get up into the top 5. McMenamin has got by Harris at the post. Harris with the late start. Keck has to set up a 6, couldn't get by Wegener. O'Loughlin just held off Miller. Wants to get hold of Davis as well. That's how they come home. Oh, the last roll of the dice nearly brought with it a flurry of positional changes. But Harvey, that was as good a wet weather drive as you would want to put in, really, quite frankly. Just took off. Gave himself some breathing space, let all the carnage happen behind him. Trouble-free run, incident-free run, pretty much pressure-free run, because before he would really have got a whiff of John O'Harris in his rearview mirror, he'd made another mistake and that opportunity had fallen by the wayside. Harris settling for 4th in the end, but the fastest lap of the race. Top 5, different manufacturers. 2 555 Sim Sport entries in the top 5. That's the only double up there. Great race for Pistol Pete Madsen. Great to see Ferrari back competitive in Waste Options GT3. Braden O'Loughlin in for 7th behind Brad Keck. Good recovery in the end. Darren Miller was 8th. Martin Davis will be the invert pole sitter for the second race. Tim Watson held him off in the end and took 9th. Tristan Koch, Robert Gay, Brian Levitt, Logan Griffin, Martin Pedersen, JD Den, Anthony Cuthbertson, all ruining what might have been. Edward Rollo and Troy Mortensen got it out there and finished, about a lap down in all of that. And that's all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. That is all she wrote. They should be classified on 75%, not because of the we'll get to those results on screen in just a moment. Not because of the fact that they finished on pit lane, or because the original race distance was scheduled to be 11 laps, but because it only ran 10, 75% is 7.5, rounded up to 8, and therefore they've both completed 8. They were about to finish 9th, but because of where they're parked in pit lane, they didn't get to the control line. They should still be classified. Now, thanks to Bailey Ladders, says Pete Matson, in the absence of a on-air post-race interview. Good on you, Pistol. John O'Harris winning the feature race there for you, ladies and gentlemen, from Martin Davis. Nathan Harvey back for 3rd. So Jono sought redemption in the second race and did it well. At first and a 3rd for the pair of them tonight. Tim Watson, Jesse McManaman, Tristan Koch. That's a good finish for Timmy. And Pete getting back to 7th from what would have been 9th on the grid. Darren Miller, Edward Rollo, and Brian Levitt out there makes up the top 10. JD Anthony Cuthbertson, Martin Pedersen, Troy Mortensen, Luke Wegener, Brad Keck, and then Robert Gay was a lap down. The non-finishers were Braden O'Loughlin, Logan Griffin, and of course Colin Bennett was a non-starter in all of that. Championship points, this is what it means for Waste Options GT3 and Jesse McManaman now. Whoa, have a look at that. Top 3 covered by 25, top 4 covered by 30, top 5 covered by 49 points, ladies and gentlemen. It's a 5-horse race at the front. Jesse McManaman by 1 over Nathan Harvey, Martin Davis on 227, 5 clear of Tristan Koch, 203 for Braden O'Loughlin. Watson's only 8 clear of Rollo, and another 2 back to JD Dent. So that battle for 6th, only 3 drivers covered by 10 points, and another 6 back to Anthony Cuthbertson, who has 1 on Robert Gay. 82 points covers the top 10. Game on in the final 3 rounds of Waste Options GT3 AM. Magnificent stuff. Nathan Harvey, the round winner from Martin Davis, and also Pete Matson up on the podium for the round as well. So back-to-back round podiums for Pete. Very nicely done. Do we want to see any highlights? Yes, we do. From that race just gone. That was the initial incident for Tim Watson. Have a look at this for car control. 10 points for the straight line accuracy of that reversing. Unfortunately, one of the back markers compromised by all that, just didn't get good sight of Tim's parked Whiskey Business Racing entry until it was too late. This was Brad Keck from the lead. Goodbye. Curb on the outside of the hairpin. Trying to take the Lee Holdsworth line from Oran Park all those years ago, and it just didn't come to fruition. JD Dent. That was a strange one. Didn't look like there was any real what would you call it, unsettlement of the car. It just looked like he turned left.
So it was actually Davis on the outer curb that scores that. I thought it was going to be Jonathan on the pit lane, but I was wrong. It was just the outside curb.
Aquaplaned. Yeah, Davis aquaplaned and got into Harris. So both of them fell off the road. Look, the garbage unfolded behind there. Have a look at this. Whooshka. Unlucky. And just a sea of mist and spray behind them as that was all playing out. Troy Mortensen also caught up in this garbage. There was one car ahead of him that went too deep. And then they went 10
Jonathan Harris was lucky not to get bowled there.
Yeah. Cleaned up like a pinata. Oh dear. Logan Griffin, 14. And this is what Portimão done.
There's a big puddle on the inside of that. Big puddle on that curve there. He's got that.
Yeah, he does. Those puddles. Some cars drive through them all right. Some cars absolutely detest them. Tristan Koch, the only Audi in the field. Big spin coming through the Schumacher S. Don't mind me, folks. I'm just opening a Kit Kat. If you can hear the wrapper doing its thing in the background. There we go. That'll be my snack for the intermission that's coming up in just a moment. And maybe a pit stop as well. Martin Pedersen. That was when the road was essentially blocked going through the chicane. No one could get through. Pedersen was parked bang in the middle of the road. And this was the continuation of his woes. Caught the curb and aquaplaned. The brakes helpless at that point.
Here's what I saw there. So yeah, Zach broke himself. Gets a little bit of the grass on the outside, loops it around.
Yeah. The Canberra Kart Racing Club's tagging me in a post on good old Facebook, so we appreciate that. Good on you, boys. that was good fun down there over the course of the weekend. Enjoyed that. Robert Gay, again, the ripple strip every day of the week. Like when you need to adjust your racing line in the rain, you need to take into consideration that they are no man's land. How many times have you seen it? You can get away with driving on them in the dry, but as soon as there's some water down, goodbye. And that was Jesse McMenamin. How lucky was Pete in all of that? It was short-lived luck, but yes. That was when third went begging, and then all of a sudden you had another incident for McMenamin and another incident for Harris.
Yeah, that dropped him back to fourth.
And this was Timmy Watson. Same point of the circuit. Timmy did well to pull that up, though. Harris. Right, let's have a look at this. Yeah, just you can see it aquaplaning. You can see it not liking where he's at. And at this point, he was a passenger. McMenamin went through, but then he too had his own issue a little bit later on. Right, let's have a look at this. Another replay, or maybe there it is. Yeah, Nathan Harvey. Right, this was brilliant from him. Clinical win, commanding win, and as you've already seen, he got a double podium in the round win for the night as well. We are here with thanks to Waste Options, with thanks to Trophy AI, with thanks to Disruptive, GSRC.inc and Flash Graphics. These are the platforms of Gentleman Sim Racing Club. We are as live across Facebook and YouTube. It's our replay of last week's Monday Night Motorsport, bringing you into line as far as being up to date is concerned, ready for tonight's all round 8 action that's coming up in Waste Options, Super Formula 1 and GT3. Pro-Am results a little bit later on. Next, we'll go to the feature race from the Pro Split. Take this opportunity to grab a break and come back with more. Hope you're enjoying Monday afternoon motorsport with us as much as we're enjoying bringing it to you. Stay with us. Not yet done from a very wet Nürburgring in Germany. The platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club and Monday afternoon motorsport for you, exclusive and free across Facebook and YouTube. We are at the Nürburgring in Germany. We are bringing you a replay of round 7 of Waste Options GT3 Pro now on the back of a very wet AM split opening race. Of course, this will be the feature over 37 minutes. Happy to report they also had wet conditions, extremely wet conditions, not anywhere near as wet as the AM splits, but certainly wetter than I encountered on the trip home from Canberra last night. To contend with in race 1, and we'll have a look at those results for you in just a few moments' time. But as we do, off the top of any broadcast here on the platforms of the GSRC, let's have a look at the track and weather information for you. Moderately wet for race 1, as you can see there. 26 km/h winds in an easterly direction, so it was opposite direction to what we were talking about with the AM split, which is interesting, isn't it? 10 o'clock local server time, 19 degrees the ambient, 14 on track, so very cold conditions indeed, very uncomfortable. Smidgen over 5 kilometres this circuit, which is one of the reasons why it ends up being a 60-lap Formula 1 Grand Prix when the German Grand Prix is held at this venue, or the European Grand Prix, or the Luxembourg Grand Prix, or whatever it is they decide to call it these days, because they just make up names as they go along, I'm sure of it now. And shame on Fox Sports 2 last week, by the way, on that note. Again, the host broadcaster, when they can't get it right, when they're trying to report about the Australian Grand Prix and they call it the Melbourne Grand Prix, give yourself an uppercut. Someone in their social media department deserves the sack. Eli Donaldson, the leader here at the moment, 343 plays. Alexander Barrel on 272 and Ryan Jones 236. Very spaced out, top of the running order at the moment there. 208 for Nick Wood and 202 for Luke Page, because there have been some hit and miss performances. There have been some drivers that have missed some rounds, etc. and so forth. Sometimes through no fault of their own, work commitments or internet outages or whatever. So that will hopefully look a little bit better for anyone but Eli Donaldson. It can't look much better for him at the moment. Once round 7 is complete, and we can have a look at the updated point standings with the 2 drop rounds taken into the equation. And 10th spot is Luke King. Have a look at that. 207 points covers the top 10. That's spaced out, isn't it?
And also, yeah, like Eli's definitely helped himself too, because not only has he got basically the top qualifying average, the top race finish average, and the most bonus points, so he's well ahead in this championship so far. He's just going to basically complete it off now and see what happens when the drop rounds kick in the night.
Indeed. And as you can see there, very Porsche happy top end of town at the moment. In fact, the top 20, there's only 2 Bimmers, 3 Fords, and an Aston, stopping the Porsche avalanche and onslaught that we're seeing in GT3 at the moment. Qualifying results for you. Sorry, I'm just halfway through a mouthful of chocolate. Luke Fallon on top. That's a new name to the club, and become familiar with it, ladies and gentlemen. What a start from him. Although, he is a Pommy, so, you know, couldn't have welcomed him with better hospitality as far as serving up the weather conditions was concerned. He would have felt right at bloody home. DPR Racing 2 and 3 through Ryan Jones. Good to see Daniel Edmonds back on the grid. 0.252 the margin there for pole. Eli Donaldson, the former front runner of the championship. Nick Wood, Matt Bailey, Richard Mitchum, James Deggan. Jonas Deggan, I should say, our Japanese racer. Then you go back to Alan Holgerson and Ben Snell making up the top 10. The race 1 results played out over, did they get to the full 11 or just the 10 in? I think they only just got the 10 in. So let's have a look at that. The Nürburgring. Oh, finally, Jonesy. Have a look at this. Ryan Jones, a race winner in Waste Options GT3 at long last. Have a look at that. I mean, he's racked it up he's snagged the win in GT4 and he's snagged the win in a couple of other things. Finally in Waste Options GT3. That's good to see. Luke Fallon there in second, Eli Donaldson, Alex Barrel on, Daniel Edmonds, Nick Wood, Richard Mitchum, Reece Keane, and then Geordie Slater and Jordan Pianazola make up the top 10. Jonas Deggan in for 11th, Luke Page, Sean Rigby, Matt Schmidtke, and Jeff Adams to the top half of the field. It is a 29-car field tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as we welcome you now to our coverage of race 2. Very lightly wet, so this is an interesting conundrum because you'll most likely see most of the field, given that it is very lightly wet, not take the risk. They'll start on dries. There will be 1 or 2 that gamble on the wets, and they'll have to persevere with that.
Unfortunately,
until they can get to the fuel window and then go into pit lane and top up the fuel and hope they can get home on dry tyres. But there is an invoice to pay for that.
and also, unfortunately, the tyre data is only a live thing, so we can't see it on the replays, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. It's very disappointing. 1:30 in the afternoon, 27 km/h winds, northeasterly direction, 90 degrees the ambient, 65% humidity, 14 degrees track, very lightly wet. So it's a very cold day in Germany. Pianazzola and Slater the front row, Keane and Mitchell the second, Wood and Evans the third, Barrelon, Donaldson the fourth, Fallon and Jones the fifth. Sixth row, Jonas Dagan and Luke Page, seventh row, Sean Rigby, Matt Schmidtke, eighth row, Jeff Adams, Luke King, ninth row, Leo Dreyer, Rodney Gollan, 10th row, Austin Edwards and Paul Rogers. 11th row, Alan Dawson, Rob Hill, 12th row, Brad Kurtz, Vinnie Newen, 13th row, Alan Holgerson, Ben Snell, 14th row, Bradley Rather, Matt Bailey and Wayne Hewitt brings us to the tail of the field. Although he and Bradley Ratu not starting, Hewitt starting pit lane. Ready to fire! Aston Martin and Mercedes front row, invert, split racing, GT3 feature with extra lane structure to the platform of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. Let's go! The run to the first corner is key. Pianazzola gets the jump. The third sprint round of 4 in the season. Keane and Mitchell get away all right, but Nick Wood's in the wall. Player, three wide. He's boxed in there at the moment. On his way through. Entering the section, making that extension of the Grand Prix layout that came to life in 2002. Trouble at the top of the circuit. Matt Schmidtke off the road, and with him at the time was Alex Barrelon. Wayne Hewitt joins from the rear of the field. We've already got past those three, you would imagine. Off goes Brad Coates now as well. So they're dropping off everywhere on this opening lap. And as you can tell, as you can see, there's a little bit of spray being kicked up. Now these guys have got to tread cautiously if they've taken the dry tyres first up at it.
Yeah, very lightly wet is usually the stage in like the 12 or whatever. Oh, we've lost one.
We have indeed. Off we go. Jonas Dagan's gone. Oh boy.
But yeah, so
Alan
usually
Dawson, Benny Snell, there's a few others losing track position as well. So there's a fair bit of squabbling unfolding at the moment.
Yeah, so usually if you see that very lightly wet come up in the weather report in our racing, that's generally in pretty much all but a few of the race series. That's the segment somewhere in there is where the transition is. But the problem is you don't know whereabouts in that window it is, because obviously if it's at the high end of very lightly wet, it's still wet tyres. If it's at the low end, it's dry tyres. So you got to sort of take a bit of a punt and hope, and sort of sometimes hope that it's more towards the dry end. Otherwise, you could be in trouble for the first few laps.
Indeed, you could be. Across the line we go. Rick Page under pressure here. Richard Mitchum down the inside. Oh, trouble on the main straight. Rob Hill, the rejoin's okay. It was nice to hear from Rob recently, I must say. It wasn't good news because he was talking about how up the creek without a pad on the MotoGP for a while. But it was nice to hear from him all the same. Some of the porters attracted to the mud, yeah, exactly, correct. And they don't discriminate either, mate. Some of them aren't porkers. Jordy Slater and Jordan Pianazzola leads. Reece Keane is third. 4 different manufacturers in the top 10 at the moment. Sean Rigby out there in a McLaren makes 5 in the field. There's a BMW down there through Alan Holderson and Paul Rogers, so that's 6 different manufacturers. Matt Schmidtke's got the trusty Rambo out there as well for 7. 7 different manufacturers out there. Audi only representative of 7 because Travis has a party, he's in race control, so that doesn't count. No Acura, no Chev, no Ferrari.
So it's a
I'm getting better at remembering the 11 manufacturers in this field without having to refer to the sheet.
So be Jeff Adams there giving us a heads up because he was in the race. That it is on the wetter side of that, very lightly wet. So the guys who are falling off are mostly the guys on the dry tyres. So the wet tyre was probably the way to start. As long as you can get that wet tyre to the point where the pit lane pit stop and change the tyres, is still within a chance to get home with that one extra stop. So you need to get at least sort of 10-15 minutes into the race here to make sure you don't have to do extra stop. So we'll see how they go here.
Slater down the inside at the final corner. Now a drag race with Pianazola down the main straight. Keen's back there in third. Here we go. Last of the late breakers down here. And that'll be a two compound problem, Adam, quite frankly. And thanks to Jeff for the intel. As Slater goes through and sliding out on the exit of turn 2. Big slide. Did well to save it. Tucks in front of Reese Keen. Remains behind Pianazola, who's now blinky-billing all over the place. So we've got three problems. We've got Pianazola sitting that not stable. We've got Slater and Keen arguing over the same piece of real estate. We've got Daniel Evans fastest time of the race. We've got the championship leader in fourth. But I would hazard a guess, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but the cold track temperature could be a big contributor as to why the guys on the slicks are struggling more so than what they really would in very lightly wet conditions. And that might compound the problem for them going forward because that track temperature doesn't look like it's improving very quickly.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be helping this situation.
Sometimes you can get away with it if the track is wet but the track is warm, but not in this instance. It's a typical cold, stinking European winter into spring day. Of course, spring has only just sprung in the Northern Hemisphere. The Americans have just started that progressive and civilised concept known as daylight saving yesterday their time, early hours of, well, actually late yesterday afternoon our time. And Europe, of course, kick into daylight saving mode at the end of the month. It's 8 months in the United States, it's 7 months in Europe, and of course it's 6 months in the progressive and civilised parts of Australia. I couldn't cop any more than 6 months. I'd have to move maybe to Tasmania. Or maybe just back to mum and dad's backyard. I don't know. I could not do it. The time difference is a nightmare.
And just
because Queensland can't get their act together. Hello, Adam.
And don't be fooled here. You got Geordie Slater. He's still running on a default Mercedes Patronus livery, but he is part of the DPR squad. So there is actually 4 DPRs in this with the battle pack.
Yep, and they are second, third, fifth, and sixth at the moment. And they are. It's interesting too because trouble in the wall. There goes Sean Rigby in is that the McLaren? Yes. But what's interesting for mine, Slater in the Merc, Keen and Edmonds in the Mustang, and Jonesy staying loyal to the Porsche. So same team, 4 in the stable, 3 different manufacturers of choice. Like 4 of 19, and at this rate, I can see that being a problem. If the times don't improve, we're only going to get to about 18 laps here, folks. Although, we're in the 210s, 209, 208, somewhere around there. So the further you go, the more that becomes an issue as well. We might only end up going 17. Up the hill, Geordie Slater to the outside, Pianazola to the inside. The two of them arguing over the same piece of real estate for the lead in the car race. Slater had 2 wheels in the dirt, gathers it up, loses the spot. Pianazola, skid mark racing. It won't be just skid marks tonight, it'll just be aquaplaning. Jordan Pianazola and Aston Martin lead at the Nürburgring. Is this the night in which the Porsche stranglehold is released on this series? Or in this series, more to the point, grammatically speaking. Slater follows Pianazola through, gets the run off the chicane. We'll have the inside line for the final corner and we'll take full advantage of it. Slater to the inside, has to stay off the water that's hugging the ripple strip there at the moment. Round they come onto the main straight, sliding onto the main straight. Drag race begins down the main straight. We know the Aston's got good straight line poke. Here comes Eli Donaldson as well. Go on Eli, make it 3 wide in the Porsche. No, not yet. Not brave enough this early in the piece. Down the inside goes Slater. Pianazola relegated. Donaldson gets an almighty run off the bottom of the first quarter. Goes around the outside. Donaldson wants to lead it. Contact and gone. There's your championship leader involved in the first incident of the night. Slater and, of course, Keane involved in that one. So too Pianazola. Slater coming off worse for wear and dropping down to 11. I'll be interested to see the replay. I'll be interested to see the rap sheet on that one and whether or not our championship leader is about to get slugged an invoice. Dear oh dear, race leaders. That's all shaken up and changed now. Donaldson's lead is 2.2. We pick up Jeff Adams chasing Luke Fallon. Under pressure from Richard Mitchum, under siege in fact. So there's a real Ashes vibe to this battle. Right, you've got Fallon with the English flag next to his name. You've got Richard Mitchum with the United Kingdom flag next to his name. And Jeff Adams, the parochial Aussie, flying the flag for the homeland. And all on German turf. I shouldn't be making these references. You know, enemy firing line at the moment. Have a look at it. Well, that being said, far be it for me to get involved in what's going on in the Middle East and the United States and Israel and everything else at the moment, but is anyone else a little bit surprised that no one else has put their cards on the table just yet? Right, because I reckon all the BS erupts a lot further if the Germans, the North Koreans and the Russians of the world enter into the fold. That could flip the whole script on its lid. Paul Rogers in battle here for 15th. He's chasing Matt Bailey. He's under pressure from Luke King. And by the way, folks, I've been reliably informed by sources on the ground in the Australian Formula 1 Grand Prix paddock over the weekend that even though there's a lot of chatter about the Middle East and Bahrain and Saudi Arabia coming up on the calendar, apparently teams have already been told they're not going. And obviously what we know now is the FIA is not planning to replace those races or substitute them for others on the calendar, which is a bit unfortunate, which brings me back to a point I was making earlier in the broadcast. I'm loving the spin, the BS approach from our local media on that. Even with that knowledge, right, having been delivered by the FIA and Formula 1 themselves over the weekend, they're all saying, Sydney could step up and host a Formula 1 race, or Brisbane could step up and host. No, they couldn't. Not with the amount of time and turnaround and everything else involved. No, they could not. So just go and find something else to extract the PI, you know what, out of P1SS. Go and find something else to fill your airtime with, please, because it's not going to happen. Absolutely ridiculous. And we don't have, believe it or not, we don't have an FIA Grade 1 circuit in this country. If we were in a position, apart from the Albert Park Grand Prix circuit, and far be it for the Victorian government to shut Melbourne down for 6 weeks so that the Albert Park precinct is out of action for however long we needed to host a second Grand Prix, because that suggestion was made as well. But we need now, really, and I hope it's not the Bend that steps up and does this, maybe a Sydney Motorsport Park, maybe somewhere else, but we need one of these circuits to step up to the plate and say, you know what, we'll put the time, effort, money in to make sure. I agree with Jordan, that's a great idea. The Sepang International Circuit, even with the monsoon, well, it was always a goodie. We need now to have a conversation about getting a permanent facility, spending the money required to upgrade it to FIA Grade 1 standard. And that way, when these situations arise, we actually have a legitimate candidate to put forward and say, look, we know you can't go to the Middle East just yet, but maybe you come here for 2. The crossover point has arrived. Hello, Ryan Jones. And good to have you on board. Brad Keck saying that Suzuka should just host 2 Japanese Grand Prix. Well, they could, but you know what? Here's one for you. Why doesn't the Fuji International Speedway step up and say we could host, because they hosted Formula 1 back in 2007 and 8. They've got the facilities required. They are the other FIA Grade 1 standard circuit in Japan. Go for it. Jonesy, if you want to come in here and take the weight off my shoulders and take the load off, you're more than welcome to step in and do expert commentary for the balance of the afternoon. Thank you very much. Have a listen to him from the comments section. Ryan Jones, Reese Keane. So, okay, so that's why he wants us to have a chat, because he's taking the lead all over. Great activity's been playing out. Eli Donaldson with that crossover, 21.76 seconds. He's the best place of anyone to have stopped so far. Luke Fallon, Paul Rogers, Wayne Hewitt, Leo Dreyer, Austin Edwards, Brad Coates have all pitted. Vinnie Newman's out there, but he's 2 laps down, and Alan Dawson is out of the race. Well, depends on whether whether that's a personal statement or whether that's based on the racing you've watched there around the course of time, Brad. But I mean, how many times do we see terrible racetracks appear as Formula 1 circuits? And again, that's a matter of opinion and subject to interpretation and whatever else. But if it gets him out of trouble, I mean, here we go. Here comes Daniel Edmonds down pit lane. I quite like Fuji in terms of the spectacle it puts together for what we do there when we take racing there, Adam.
Interesting if Edmonds gets a penalty, because I don't think he went in the actual entrance. I think he crossed the big chevron median strip.
All right, copy that. Watching that now. He, Jeff Adams, Shorty Slater, and Matt Bailey, Luke King, all in. Crossover point has arrived. Jonesy, aware of that, hasn't said anything or taken any action towards going down pit lane himself just yet. Crossover point has arrived. 204.342 for Jonas Degen, the fastest lap of the race. Edmonds still stationary after 23 seconds. He's in strife. Well picked, Adam Lavis. Well picked.
It's definitely a crossover point, because Degen just went, as we lost.
Trouble! Barrel on in the wall.
In the barrel. Because Degen's fastest lap on that lap was 2 seconds faster than Mitchum's on the previous lap. So 2-second improvement lap on lap. Oh, you can call the race now.
That's a massive number. Richard Mitchum to the inside of Jonesy and to the lead.
Does that say you can call the race now?
Exactly, yeah, correct. I can call the race now, absolutely. Richard Mitchum, Ryan Jones swapping around on the racetrack. Mitchum now leads in Germany. Jones, Keane, Pianazola, Page, Holgerson, Golan, Schmidtke, Snell, and then of course Degen. Have a look at this. Have a look at this. So it's Snell, it's Degen, it's Schmidtke, and also Barrelon in this RS. 3 wide on the run down to the left-hander. The back half of the lap gets underway. Now it's 2 wide, 2. Round they go. Snell holding on, Schmidtke on his inside, up on the outside behind that. He's Barrelon and Degen's there as well. Not too far away. Last of the late breakers. Still plenty of puddles off circuit. They're basically dry racetrack now. Schmidtke to 8. Nicely done. In comes Jordan Pianazola. Leader's staying out. No, Betty Snell's in. That pit time for Daniel Edmonds was 43.78 seconds, Adam.
Another 2-second improvement on Mitchum. Track is drying fast.
Big time. Massively. Oh boy. I was way too gun shy on switching to slicks because I spilled it about 6 times on slicks trying to... Oh, that's fair. That's fair. That is very, very fair. Should have pitted 3 laps ago. The admission now from Ryan Jones. Now, mate, I understand being gun shy. I get it. Now, going back to the point, we'll talk about alternative, backup options, etc. Fuji's obviously just an option to get them out to meet the quota, to get to that 24 number that they've been sitting at for the last couple of years in terms of maximum number of Grand Prix. Istanbul was thrown up, Imola, Portimão. They were all thrown up as potential candidates and options. there's no leverage in the calendar at the back end of the season. They're talking about just straight up cancelling and going back. There goes. That was Jonas Degen off the road. The exit of, I think that's turn 6, is it not? So for them to just straight out say, oh, look, we're not going to bother logistically, we're just going to cancel the 2 of them, off we go. I think they need to take the MotoGP approach, as Benny Snell has a spin out of turn 2, and then another spin at turn 3. It's all going to hell for Snelling. I think they just need to... I think that might be the end of B Snell. I think he might just jump on the tow rope. Yes, he does. And Alex Barrelon on the tow rope as well. So something's happened to Barrelon there, because he's been in pit lane for 43 seconds, 53 seconds already. Rodney Gollan up into 7th spot now. Rigby in behind. He's chasing that Schmidtke. Holgersen just ahead of them. I think they need to take the MotoGP approach. Remember, MotoGP there for a couple of years had reserve Grand Prix, contingency plans, races on standby to take the place. Should one fall over or whatever else, I think Formula One needs to start adopting that just in case. So 2 minutes 0.84 for Richard Mitchum. Oh, jeez, Holgersen. And Matt Schmidtke. So everybody to pit lane now. Ryan Jones, Reece Keane, Luke Page. They're all in. Jonesy out in 21.89 seconds. He's good. Luke Fallon, 1:59.886, fastest lap of the race. We're sub 2 minutes for the first time today. The quicker we go, the more likely we are of potentially squeezing in 18 of the 19 laps. We're on lap 10 at the moment. We're halfway through 10, in fact. Just bear with me a second. I just noticed a big smudge on the lens of my sunglasses. Oh, sorry, of my reading glasses. So I'm going to fix that. Have a look at the fact that Fallon's got the fastest lap of the race. -1 on where he started so far. Holgersen up 22, Schmidtke up 12, Rigby up 9, Degen up 6, but again, Eli Donaldson in 7th is the first one to have stopped so far. Nick Wood, Rob Hill still to come as well on that note. Everybody else should have stopped at this point. Vinnie Newen out there, 2 laps down at the moment. Alex Barrelon's retired, Ben Snell's retired, Matt Bailey's retired as well.
Unless these guys who are still out are the ones who gambled on the slicks early on. That could be what's going on here. They could be already on the slicks.
Yep, yeah, that's correct. Full agreement from me, Brad Keck. I thought that was a magnificent addition. As Brad Coates has an off-track excursion over at turn 4.
What's again, Eric?
Not in a good way. Holgersen, down the inside, has been relegated to 5th. Passed there on the inside by Jonas Degen. And then the pit lane comes Holgersen in the BMW. Best placed BMW out there at the moment. Rigby, Degen, Schmidtke go through. Schmidtke's 25 seconds away. Rigby's 4 seconds away. Degen's giving him good chase at the moment. Donaldson remains the best placed of anyone to have stopped so far. Does he have a price to pay for that incident earlier on? I'm not sure. Fallon and Jones now in effective corrected order 10th position. But again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 competitors still to stop. So Jones is definitely still in the mix, but Richard Mitchum, if we're under the assumption that he started on the dry tyres, he is in the box seat here because he's not going to have anywhere near as much stationary time on pit road. 1:58.871 for Luke Fallon. That time through. Who knows how this one plays out. Hope you're enjoying Monday Motorsport with us. Pro split action tonight from the Mazzano World Circuit. Marco Simoncelli. It follows the Circuit of Barcelona Catalunya round of the Super Formula Light campaign. I'm hoping Jonesy's doing the double. Just now that he's done a drive-by on me today, I need to get square with him tonight. Page there in 17th position is ahead of Pianazzola, but he's chasing Wayne Hewitt and Daniel Edmonds. Of course, Edmonds trying to fight back after that pit lane penalty he received earlier in the piece. And that was back on lap 7. We're only on lap 12 now. Richard Mitchum's just started the 12th lap. We get the feeling that we're heading in the direction of 18, not 19 laps. So 7 to go. But that very much depends on the transit time and a few other factors. We may just scrape it in. But we'll require the full complement of overtime permitted to us. Speaking of overtime, good to see IndyCar and NASCAR banding together over the weekend in Phoenix. Can't wait to actually go back and watch the highlights from IndyCar. Don't think I'm going to bother with the Grand Prix now that I know the main reason I was invested in it happened before the lights went green. There's Luke Fallon, of course, one of our new members. And I was explaining to people over the weekend, Adam, that this is a 40-week year of commitment from 40-week a-year commitment from us. And it's great to see that it's one of the things that has continued to thrive since life got back to somewhat normal. We think the world's going to get plunged into some sort of insane weirdness again very shortly if things escalate in the Middle East. But this has been our escape from the real world for the last 6 years. And it's one of those things that continued to thrive, and even still, more and more people, new names popping up every term. So there's a lot of life in this beast just yet.
Well, it's one of the things that actually sort of went good for COVID. Like obviously there was a big boom because people were stuck in their houses with nothing to do, so iRacing became very popular real fast. But they've been smart and they reinvested themselves to improve their sim enough to keep people interested over the past 6 years. So we're all still here having some good times on the every night. So it's one of those things that's actually been a bit of a success story from the COVID situation.
Hard to believe the sad set of circumstances that unfolded after this race took place, of course, ladies and gentlemen. Richard Mitchum won 58.69, the fastest lap of the race now. We're watching Wayne Hewitt chasing Reese Keane. Keane, of course, sitting there 14th place at the moment. Under pressure from Hewitt. Hewitt to the inside. Here we go. Braking duel up to the chicane. Why not? Hewitt tucks back in and follows through. He might get another look later in the race, but not just right now. Mitchum leads, yet to stop. Schmidt second, yet to stop. Rigby and Wood, yet to stop. Hill, yet to stop. 157.431 for Luke Cole, the fastest of the race. And across the line we go. Yeah, who'd have thought? Like, obviously, last Wednesday night we were talking about the passing of Dennis Cometti. Hours after that it was Phil Brock. And, of course, Jamie Dunn, who people of my vintage, Adam Lavis, grew up getting ready for school watching Agro's Cartoon Connections. So we're thinking of everybody in particularly the 7 Network, Brisbane radio industry and other fragments of or sectors of the industry in which Jamie, of course, was involved. Today, when we got that news on Saturday, we couldn't quite believe it. They say it comes in threes. It certainly did last week, no doubt about that. Richard Mitchum, Matt Schmidt, Eli Donaldson, Sean Rigby and Nick Wood, the top 5 here. We're on lap 13 of what we suspect is 18, but we've got a feeling that if the times keep tumbling, we may just yet scrape that 19th in. It all comes down to pit lane transit time. And there are still 10 minutes to go. So that pace that Richard Mitchum's exerting at the front might yet be enough. Matt Schmidt, Eli Donaldson, Sean Rigby. We probably need to keep an eye on Donaldson, quite frankly. He's crossing the line now. So if he's the threshold as to where the goalposts are, I don't think we can actually make it to 19. Because there's less than 10 minutes to go and he's got, well, last time round he was clocking 1 minute 57.742, which is not far enough under the 2 minute threshold to make back that deficit. So this is looking like an 18 lap race now. Only Mitchum could drag it to 19, even then I think he's going to strike. So yeah, 18 will be the journey. There's an overused word for you. And good to see a good mix of manufacturers in the top 10. Like, I get that we've still got pit stops to play out, Adam, for 5 of the top 10 at the moment, and they are the last 5 in the field to transit the lane. Retirements, by the way. Vinny Nguyen's still 2 laps down, but we lost Barrel on Snell, Bailey and Dawson. Biggest move of the race. Rob Hill up 15 spots, but he too is yet to stop. Wayne Hewitt, 13 positions gained, and he has already stopped, although he stopped 3 times in this race already because he started on pit lane and he stopped again on lap 5 as well. So it hasn't been a race to remember for Wayne Hewitt in any way, shape or form. Richard Mitchum to pit lane now at the end of lap 14. So now is the critical point of the race. 29 minutes in, that makes a lot of sense. At Schmidtke well back in the Whiskey Business Racing Lamborghini. Eli Donaldson, it'll be interesting to see where he comes in and out in relation to Richard Mitchum. Just entering the chicane now. Mitchum's going on another lap.
Matt is also
here. They come.
So Matt's going
sorry. Schmidtke's going on another lap. I'm trying to correct myself there.
He's going to try and hold Eli for a whole lap to get himself a lap lead credit here.
And,
well... Oh, no, he's not. Mitchum's already out.
No, he's not going to, yeah. Mitchum, because he started on the dries, 14 seconds to the good of everybody, gets back out onto the racetrack and leads the way by 6 seconds. Donaldson's not going to overturn that deficit. This is Richard Mitchum's to lose. But he's still only going to get 3 laps to go next time by the line. So we're only going to go 18. Donaldson there misjudged it going into turn 4. Lost a little bit of ground to Schmidtke. So Schmidtke will have to come in at some point. So too will Nick Wood. Everybody else, the field is cleansed. Again, I can't remember what the hell I was going to say then. Oh, Schmidtke off the road. Schmidtke off the road. What's going on here? Matt Schmidtke has bolted off the road. Wow, one of 2 competitors yet to stop, and he's bolted off the road. Daniel Edmonds fastest lap of the race, 156.602. Case of what might have been for so many. Lap 14, the critical lap. 18 laps the journey. Lose one because of the wet track conditions. 37-minute affair to get us to the end of week 7 of Waste Options GT3 Pro. I really can't remember what the hell I was going to say. Oh, that's what it was. Good to see when you look at that leaderboard, it's not just a Porsche saturation, as what we've seen in recent weeks. You've got Ford, Lambo, Aston, Merc, Bimmer, McLaren, so 6 different manufacturers already in the top 20 there. So, plus the Porsche. So, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the top 4, plus Merc, Bimmer, McLaren. That's 7. In the top 7, in the top 20, I should say, and then beyond that, I'm just having a look to see if we had anything else out there. I think not. I think we established that there are only 7 different manufacturers in this race because the Audi's on pit road because Trav has entered the server as a competitor, not as an admin. So he's gone in the Audi. That eradicates them. That eliminates them from the equation. There's no Acura, there's no Ferrari, and there's no Chev. So, yeah, 7 manufacturers out there. They're all in the top 20 at the moment. Matt Schmidtke, Nick Wood to pit lane to cleanse the field. That's a big loss for Schmitty, of course. Track position territory-wise, he's got out just ahead of Nick Wood, and he's done so after making that mistake that's cost him the better part of 15 to 20 seconds out of turn 6. Are you happy, by the way? Is Ryan Jones still tuning in? Are you happy? We're actually commentating the race. Are you good? Richard Mitchum, Eli Donaldson, Luke Fallon and Ryan Jones in top 4. So Jonesy's missed the points, missed the opportunity to convert into a result there. Paul Rogers off the road, converted into a podium result. And that's come on the back of.
He's done what neglect that. He was fully sideways then.
Yeah, you're right. Good save. By his own admission, he missed that opportunity to just being a bit gun shy. He missed that opportunity to get into the pit lane a little bit earlier and get onto the slicks earlier. May have put him in contact with Luke Fallon, but again, 22 seconds off the lead. 5.8 Mitchum to Donaldson, which is a huge margin over the championship leader. And then Luke Fallon, a new name to keep an eye on in the Aston, 13.5 off the pace in third. Huge gaps. The biggest battle on the track is this one you're looking at. It's Adam Slater and also Edmonds. Edmonds charging home with the red mist having fully descended on that race car of his. 156, 103 fastest lap of the race. Matt Schmidtke, Nick Wood still arguing over the last spot in the top 10. Reece Keane, Wayne Hewitt, Jonas Deggan, the only other battle on the racetrack really worth mentioning, although Alan Holgerson's just got by Austin Edwards for 19th as well. So they're your battles. That's how they're playing out at the moment.
So the Skim Mark guys have changed their team name, as you can see by the livery, but they haven't updated their details yet. So the 116IX is their new racing name.
Okay. So that'll be a nice little bit of detail to update later tonight, I dare say. They'll need to get onto that. You can tell it's a public holiday. I've had 4 spam friend requests in the last 24 hours. Round we go. Riding with Jeff Adams, he's got Daniel Evans for company. In fact, he's surrounded by DPR racing at the moment because Jordan Slater's in behind that. But Ryan Jones is next up the road from Adams in 4th. Margin is 8 seconds. Margin is 8 seconds. What can Edmonds do here to try and salvage a top 5 finish? Very much a case of what might have been for a guy that was in championship contention here last term in Waste Options GT3 down the inside of Adams. Yep, big time, big lunge. Edmonds to P5. High flag in the air. Edmonds goes through, and yeah. When you look at the time he lost on pit lane, he's looking at corrected order second, had it not been for that.
It's battle for the top 10. It's battle for 10th is heated right up here.
Hasn't it? What?
Oh, Bazzola.
5 of them, 6 of them in the mix. Gone! There goes Jordan Pianazzola. You lose 15th as well to Rob Hill. And then there were 5. Nick Wood holding on to 10th. Matt Schmidtke, Reece Keane, Wayne Hewitt and Jonas Deggan. Daniel Evans still keeping Jeff Adams and Geordie Slater honest. They're still within striking distance should Edmonds make a mistake on this final lap. But his only mistake was that pit entry. That's the only trip up for him so far. In what's been an otherwise nice drive in the top 5. Even with a stop and hold, he's got a top 5 finish. That is a fair achievement from Daniel Edmonds. Richard Mitchum. Again, the Poms, right? The Great Brits. He's a British expat. He calls Singapore home. He loves European racetracks. He's made no secret of that in the past. He would have loved feeling right at home with the wet weather earlier on. He's made the most of the tricky, challenging conditions here. It's been a while since we've been able to call him live to victory lane on the platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. But this is a nice little drought breaker for Richard Mitchum. Last turn, checkered flag. Vermilion go 1-2. The championship leader recovers for second, but it's Mitchum's night in Germany. Donaldson in for second, 4.2 the margin. Fallon, another name to keep an eye on. He comes home in third, does Luke, for Artemis Esport. Ryan Jones will be fourth. Edmonds, Adams and Slater. Slater not able to find a way by on Jeff Adams. Adams will hold on to sixth. Off the final corner across the start-finish line. Beckman coming. Slater in for seventh. Paul Rogers, Sean Rigby, Nick Wood and Matt Schmidtke in the top 11. Just needs to get out of there cleanly to consolidate 11th. Schmidtke and does so. Wayne Hewitt, Reece Keane, and Jonas Deggan and Rob Hill for top 15 in the car race. Pianazzola drops to 16. Luke Page, Leo Dreyer, Austin Edwards, and Rodney Gollan are going to make up the top 20. Alan Holgerson ends the race on pit road. That's unfortunate. So in the end, 23 finishes over the Page. It was well, actually, hang on. Righto, what are we missing here, Adam? Need to run through some names. Need to run through that order because someone's been slugged. Someone's been given an invoice. Mitchum, Donaldson, Fallon, Jones, Edmonds, and Adams, Slater, Rogers. Yep, that's all right. Pianazzola, Jordan Pianazzola. Yeah, well picked up, mate. Thank you. Just having a look at where he has dropped to in all of that. He has come across the line in 21st position. Yeah, right.
I think he actually crossed the line. So
yeah.
So I think he's.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, so that Brad Coates was the last to cross the line on the lead lap, which is taking that 20th spot. So.
Yep, copy. So Pianazzola drops out and finishes down in 21st, a lap down. Luke King actually crossed the line at the end of 18 and still somehow manages to be classified over the Page in 22nd position. And then, so Pianazzola has somehow been slugged and invoiced there, has he? I don't know. That's a strange one. iRacing doing iRacing things. Luke King, Alan Holgerson was the last one to be classified apart from Vinnie Nguyen. And then those retirements. So, I mean, Nguyen was 2 laps down, never really in contention. But Snell, Barrelon, Bailey and Dawson, DNSs for Bradley Ratu. And, of course, Travis has a party in race control. So that's all she wrote. That's how the cookie crumbled. I'm not liking the look at this, Adam Lavis. I've got to walk to the school in an hour and to pick up my beautiful little niece, and it's absolutely tipping down rain out here in Bellbird in God's country and Cessnock as well. So it might be a car trip today, and I don't like that because it's only a minute down the road. I'll blow a starter motor one day on this Hyundai i30 of mine just by doing short runs like that, starting and stopping it for no good reason. She might have to just get the raincoat on and put the gumboots on. We'll see. Eli Donaldson leads this championship now that the order has been corrected and updated with the drop rounds coming into the equation. It's 328 plays 276, 240 for Alex Barrelon, Nick Wood 219, Jeff Adams 190, and Jordan Pianazzola 188 points. Out beyond that, Luke Page, Reece Keane, Aaron Schotter, who wasn't on the grid, and Leo Dreyer make up the top 10. Again, 183, if I've got my numbers right there. 140 and 180 is 320. Yeah, 183 points covers first and 10th. And it's only 3 different manufacturers in that top 10 at the moment. 2 Mustangs, an Aston, and 7 Porsches. Paul Rogers is outside the top 10 now, as is Alan Holgerson, Luke King wedged in between them. Then Josh Fitt and Brad Coates make up the top 15, 131 and 121 respectively. That's a huge spread. Jonesy on track for a podium finish in this championship. Nick Wood will obviously try and pose a threat to Alex Barrelon, but no one else really factoring into the mix, into the equation at the moment. Jonesy's the only one that can really stop Eli Donaldson at this point. Don't think anybody else is going to be able to reel him in unless something catastrophic goes wrong. But in saying that, Adam Lavis, he's got really one good drop round up his sleeve, Eli Donaldson, should he need to call on it.
Yeah, he does. He's got 55 points there, so that's a decent haul. That's basically tonight. So his win tonight is currently still a drop round. I know. That's how good his season's going so far. So second and the third is his second worst result of the season. So it's not a bad effort in considering. So if he does have done another Barney, he's got plenty of points to put back in the piggy bank.
It's a marvellous effort, in fact. Well done, mate. Thank you for that. There were the results from the AM split for you, starting with qualifying. Pro-Am, I should say. We've already covered AM, of course. Pro-Am, of course, John Wright, from Andrew Neil, William Ong. Speaking of Malaysia, bring back Sepang. William Ong would love to see that on iRacing, no doubt. Adam Lavis in for 4th. Dave Oliver, Neil De Bruin, Sean Benici, James Lawrence, Eduardo Zamora, and Broden Friend, the top 10 in qualifying in the Pro-Am split. How many in this field, please? 29 qualified. Okay, not bad. Mark Heppel down at the bottom of the order there. The race 1 results for you. If we can can have a look at that, please, sir. There they are, John Wright on top, and doing so quite comfortably. Held off Andrew Neil, and they will clear of Adam Lavis. A good podium finish for him. Dave Oliver, a beneficiary of William Ong, dropping down the order. Sean Benici was 5th. Ong was 6th. Matthew Gerrard 7th. Eduardo Zamora 8th. And Jason Wilkinson, Jordan Dacre made up the top 10. Just have a look at that and appreciate that for a moment, folks. Australia 1, 2, 3, 4, but then you've got the United States, Malaysia, New Zealand, Chile, and the United Kingdom. 5 different nationalities in the next 5 finishing positions. I don't think we've ever had that before. And then Jordan Dacre there in 10th. And of course, we had Japan and South Africa represented in the pro split as well. And we are reaching far-flung corners of the globe, the platforms of the Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, no doubt about that. John Wright was the winner of the heat race, and then also doubled up and got the job done in the feature as well. Sweeps the night. Dave Oliver, only one in any split to do that, actually. Dave Oliver in for second, 2.094 in arrears. He's leapfrogged Adam Lavis because he was behind Adam in race 1. He's in front of Adam in race 2. A pair of bronze medals for Lavis. Very nicely done. Eduardo Zamora, Andrew Neil, Nathan Michael, William Ong, Matthew Gerrard, Greg Heaney, and Jonathan Akers made up the top 10. The championship in GT3 Pro-Am at the moment, with thanks to Waste Options, paints a very similar picture in terms of the Porsche spread at the moment. In the top 12, there are just 9 Porsches, so 3/4 of the top 12 belongs to the German manufacturer, and it was a home round for them as well here at the Nürburgring. Also a home round for BMW and Mercedes and a few others, but still very dominant for Porsche right now. 288 for John Wright, Dave Oliver 244, 225 for Paul Wood, then 214 for Andrew Neil, Jason Wilkinson 197, and Jordan Dacre 187 make up the top 6. Zamora, Fitzgerald, Heaney, and Commode the top 10. Although it is a tie, Heaney and Commode for 9th and 10th respectively. Bryden Friend just outside, only by 3 points though, and John Akers another 6 back. 129 covers 1st and 10th at the moment, and 44 that advantage 1st to 2nd. So when you take that into consideration, it's 85 points covering the next 8-9 cars in this field, from Dave Oliver down to Bobby Commode. 4 different manufacturers in the 10 there, same as 3 in the pro split at the moment as well. This was turn 1, this was Nick Wood. As we have a look at our race highlights now for you. 2.5 hours later, we're almost out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Normal programming resumes once we're done. Winter Paralympic highlights on the 9 Network right now, for those of you in progressive and civilised parts of the country. Leo Dreyer. Not really sure if there was much of an incident there. Alex Barrow. Oh yeah, definitely. Sliding, slipping, turning, pirouetting. He had good company as well, 2-3 of them. Was that Matt Schmidtke in the early stages? Yeah, for Whiskey Business, yeah, it was. Of course, there weren't too many Whiskey Business racing entries out there by Greg Standard. He only had 4 horses in the race. Normally he'd like to have 10 or 11. Brad Coates, 23rd. That was what happened to him. That was his demise. To the left-hander. Barrel on, another incident for the Mustang. There were a few of these tonight. That was just too deep into the corner and not being able to wash off enough speed before hitting the kitty litter. Jonas Deggan, this was too much curb and unsettled upon getting off the curb, going back onto the racetrack. Very soft excursion off the circuit. Here's Alan Dawson in 21st position. He just pulled up to the side of the road and said, "You guys can have at it. I'm not interested in getting in the fight."
I think there's some sort of technicality there.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Rob Hill. Bang. Found the arm coat. We saw that live, actually. Leo Dreyer and Alan Holgerson. That was Dreyer all on his own. Austin Edwards. Down the inside to 1. Oh, jeez. He got Vinny, but he's lucky that he didn't get any more. He got poleaxed. Did poor old Vinny Nguyen. Vinny Nguyen didn't have much to write home about in that race. This was Wayne Hewitt. We mentioned Wayne. Oh, he had to take evasive action for the parked Vinny Nguyen car. Wayne Hewitt only got back in the end to, well, he was inside the top 20, but I can't remember exactly where he got back to. It says plus 17 on the leaderboard, so he had a very good run in that second race. Rob Hill, one corner earlier than the previous mishap, minus the wall cloud. And it was all rear end, wasn't it? It was just slip and slide all over the place. Rear grip was a real telling point tonight, especially in those greasy conditions at the start of the race, as these guys were trying to come up to speed and temperature and get themselves. Oh, that was, yeah, Geordie Slater, that was messy.
So I don't think he was on the outside here, so I don't think he was going to get anything. He leaves space, Quinlan's all on the inside.
Yeah, no, he's right, yeah. He got clattered on the inside. Got clattered on the inside with Geordie Slater by Jordan Pianazola, the two Geordies, and that's unfortunate. So good to see that the championship leader got away unscathed. But yeah, it was an interesting one because we had those changeable conditions at the start, and until the track dried out properly, it was rear end grip that was a bit of an issue. And even as the track dried out and everyone changed over to slicks, it was still an issue for Alex Barrelon. Luke King, 16, the rejoin.
He's coming out of the cold tyres straight on.
Not just cold tyres, but cold slick tyres on a drying track. Oh dear. And there goes Matt Bailey around as well. Barrelon, just too much curb on the exit of the hairpin that rejoins the extension of the circuit with the old Grand Prix layout, of course. They did reconfigure at that short shoot straight.
So Bailey's
angle to it.
Bailey's overheated his tyres, getting going.
Yeah. And that would have been the source of a bit of frustration, no doubt. And this was Benny Snell's demise. Good to see Snelly back out there, but not so when it ends prematurely. Geez, there were a lot of incidents in this race. I mean, Snelly was parked up back on lap 8 or something like that, so we've got a fair bit to cover yet.
Oh, Coates.
Oh, Coatesy, that's a tough pill to swallow.
He was already a beetle, he just made him more beetly.
Yep.
There's a little puff there, so I think there's a little puddle on the inside. The tight exit there's catching a few of the guys out there.
Mounted up against the curb, yeah. I think you're right. Same thing, next corner for Jonas Deggen. That was part contributed by the car touching the ripple strip as well. And this was Schmidtke late in the piece as he was getting ready for his pit stop. That's not the fast way to get through turn 7. But the momentum he carried, it was in turn 8 by the time he finished spinning. By the time he came to a stop, Alan Holderson got out of the road so that he didn't get clouded by oncoming traffic. This was Brad Coates again. Yeah. Wash, rinse, repeat. I was about to ask you if that was the same incident. No, different one. Just didn't get the wall that time through. Pianazola has done the same thing again. But they can be slow learners sometimes, these race car drivers.
And he's that safe.
I'll have it so hard. So Rogers, watch this. Watch this for safe. Going, caught. Wow. Gone for all money and somehow snagged it, jagged it back. Very well done. Richard Mitchum, the victor still, in Waste Options GT3 Pro. We remind you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not sure if we've got a full schedule to look ahead with for you. Adam, I think he's going to work on that this afternoon. So bear that in mind. We will, as Adam and I chat off there, reconvene with regards to replays of Week 7 and Week 8 Thursday night motorsport in due course. But at this stage, Monday night is live, barring any technical issues at either end. But we will be back with you 7:40 Eastern Daylight Time, so about 5.25 hours from now for the continuation of our Monday doubleheader. It will be Round 8 action live and free for you, exclusive to the platforms of the GSRC across Facebook and YouTube. It'll be coming to you from, firstly, the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya. So it's another European doubleheader tonight. Sprint racing in Super Formula Light first up. Then Waste Options GT3 from the Mazzano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli in Italy, home of the San Marino round of MotoGP. That comes up on your screens at... what are we now these days? 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time. It's 9 o'clock on Wednesday and Thursday night, of course. 8:45 Eastern Daylight Time for the prime time main course offering of GT3. And it will be the Pro Split in focus tonight, so we're looking forward to that. We also remind you to join us on Wednesday night. Dan Yeaman and I will be here. Of course, we've got some great racing coming your way in the supercars and the legends. That doubleheader this week takes us to Alton Park, the Foster's configuration for the legends, and without Britons for the supercars. And then, of course, on Thursday night, even though we don't know when the bloody hell we're going to broadcast it, we're off to the Circuit of Barcelona, Catalunya for GT4, then on to the Miami International Autodrome for the Porsches. We're bringing you the Elite Split there. And then, of course, on Friday night, Joe Baldwin, Liam Banks, who wasn't here with us last week, I think he was too busy gallivanting around the sporting capital of Australia. They are with you for a sprint round of Disruptive Labs GTE from Monza in Italy. So we're looking forward to that. That's a full slate of action coming your way. Week 8, Term 1, platforms of the Gentleman Sim Racing Club. That is the end of our offering as far as Week 7's Monday Night Motorsport is concerned. We hope you've enjoyed the replay. Obviously, the Aussies got the job done in the cricket yesterday, so no play from the WACA today. The test match, the series between them and India, over and done with. You can go and watch the Paralympic highlights on Channel 9, 3 till 3 o'clock local time, 1:30 till 3, the broadcast window there. Of course, well done to India winning the ICC T20 World Cup in the early hours of this morning, defeating the New Zealanders. And, of course, we are looking forward to the continuation of another huge year of sport with the AFL and the NRL now underway. The NBL finals not too far away. The Women's World Cup, the Women's Asian Cup continuing. The Men's World Cup in football coming up in June. There's a lot to be excited about. Well done to the Matildas last night. 3-3, saved it late against Korea. It's been a very, very big weekend. Hope you enjoyed that. For those of you lucky enough to have the rest of the afternoon off, enjoy that as well. Adam Lavis and I are back with you later tonight, and we look forward to your company for all the action in Super Formula Light and Waste Options GT3. Once more, Waste Options Monday Night Motorsport, live, exclusive and free, 7:40 Eastern, 9:40 in New Zealand, 4:40 on the West Coast. It's a public holiday for half the country, so for those of you lucky enough to have half the rest of the day off, enjoy that. And I hope you'll come back and join us tonight to end the long weekend, bring the curtain down on the long weekend on a very positive note. At merch.tgsrci.com. Oh, there you go. Thank you, Adam. Crafty work from you. Next week, Super Formula Light from the Bend West. That'll be good. That will be good. The Bend West next Monday night. And then the Saxon Ring for the final sprint round. 62 sprint races, no 2 sprint races for GT3. Race 12 of 14 comes to you from the AM split. Race 13 from the Pro AM split. Then the 90-minute feature finale in round 10 from Pro in Road America, World Cup Lake, Wisconsin in week 10 to look forward to. So that's the lay of the land. That's the slate. We're looking forward to it. Merch.tgsrci.com is where you go for all your GSRC related paraphernalia. Check out the new merch range there. Race.tgsrci.com is where you go to find out the who, what, where, when, why, and how of the club, and join up and become involved in everything that we do. On behalf of Adam Lavis and all the crew here, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks to Disruptive Labs, to Flash Graphics, to merch.tgsrci.com, to Trophy AI and to Waste Options. This has been a magnificent 7th round of Monday Night Motorsport thanks to Waste Options. We look forward to resuming a live transmission of round 8 later this evening, and of course stand by for confirmation with regards to upcoming replays of all the action unfolding on a Thursday night at the moment in the GT3 and the Porsche Cup. On behalf of Adam Lavis, the entire broadcast commentary and production team, or what's left of it, I'm Zach Caban bidding you a very good afternoon. We'll see you back here 5 hours time for the continuation of our Monday doubleheader and another European stopover for Super Formula Lights and also GT3. Until then, I'm Zach Caban. It's bye for now.